Chapter 243. Wuyong said, "It's still early. Although the little guy's cultivation speed is extremely fast, it's still quite difficult for him to reach the peak after reaching ninth ring. He'll need some time to accumulate." Suddenly, there was a tremor, and a golden light shot out from the center of the stand platform. Wuyong said, "Here comes the final test." He slapped the stand platform, and all the yin rings began to emit traces of light. Gradually, the energy in the yin rings gathered together and rushed to the center of the stand platform. A crack appeared in the center of the stand platform, and then a dazzling golden light appeared. After a slight tremor, the golden light weakened a little. Everyone immediately saw that the light was actually a metal ball like an enlarged egg. Lei Xingfeng said curiously, "Where did this metal egg come from? Was it placed in the stand platform beforehand?" Gucci said, "No, it wasn't placed in beforehand." Lei Xingfeng said, "What do you mean?" Wuyong said, "Your eldest senior brother is a metal attribute cultivator." Lei Xingfeng's hair stood on end. "Ancestor, he couldn't have secreted it himself, right?" He felt a little disgusted. Wuyong was stunned. "Secreted? It's quite vivid." "That's right, it's secreted." "Haha, this is good stuff. Only a few attributes can secrete a material object. Many attributes can't do this, such as the fire attribute and your lightning attribute." "Haha." Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "What kind of good stuff?" Wuyong said, "Metal attribute cultivators, from the beginning of their cultivation, they will absorb all kinds of metal essence to form their own golden lunli, all the way to the golden seal force. When they cultivate to the ninth ring true body, a large amount of metal essence will be accumulated in their body. This is the metal that is the easiest to fuse with the human body. When they become a monarch and start to be reborn, these essences will be expelled and form a metal egg." Wuyong smiled and said, "This metal egg can be said to be a priceless treasure. In the future, half of your eldest senior brother's weapons will be made of this metal." Then Wuyong whispered, "When your eldest senior brother advances, you can ask him for some of this metal. Hee. You can use it to strengthen your chaos wheel." Lei Xingfeng immediately smiled. He nodded and said, "Yes, thank you for your guidance." Lei Xingfeng asked, "How many other types of cultivators can condense physical objects when they advance?" Wuyong said, "Don't think too much about it. Those are all good things. You won't be able to get them even if you want to. For example, the wood element will have an essence of wood shell. That thing is even more magical. The earth element can do it too, but those won't be integrated with your element. The metal element is the best to integrate." On the large stand platform, countless amounts of energy poured into the metal egg. Wuyong adjusted it from time to time. As time passed, the yin rings on the large stand platform gradually dimmed. Cracking sounds could be heard as some of the yin rings shattered and disappeared. That was a sign that the energy had been completely exhausted. The metal egg was still the same. Wuyong and Gucci's expressions were grave. The 8 disciples stood silently. They couldn't interfere and could only watch. This level of advancement was beyond their ability to help. Gucci muttered, "What the hell, why isn't it shattering?" He said, "This is the last batch of yin rings. If it still doesn't come out, master, you should force it open." Wuyong smiled bitterly and said, "If you force it open, it will be dangerous." Gucci said, "If he can't come out himself, then he'll suffocate to death." Wuyong said, "Don't worry, we have to trust the little guy." Lei Xingfeng said, "I believe that eldest senior brother's luck is good." Before the two of them could speak, they heard the clear sound of metal shattering. Crack! Wuyong looked at Lei Xingfeng in surprise and said, "A phone was right." Gucci's face immediately broke into a smile. He patted Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, "It's not your senior brother's luck that is good. It's yours." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. "So the credit goes to me too? I was just casually comforting him." Crack, crack, crack. The metal egg was covered in fine cracks. Wuyong said, "This is the last batch of yin rings." A huge amount of energy poured into the metal egg. With a crack, the metal egg shattered and a person lay on the ground. Qi Meiyun and the other female disciples all blushed. Feng Qinzong was naked on the ground. Everyone stared at him nervously. After a while, they saw Feng Chinzong move. Everyone cheered. This meant that Feng Chinzong didn't die and that he had successfully advanced. Hearing the cheers, Feng Chinzong slowly propped himself up. He frowned slightly, and a robe suddenly appeared in his hand. He put it on and nodded at Wu Yang and Gucci. Only then did he sit down. With a wave of his hand, the metal shards around him were sucked into his hidden Lun space. Seeing Feng Chinzong sit up on his own, Gucci was happy. He said, "It's done. Congratulations, master. You have another disciple." Wu Yang was very happy. He nodded and said, "Not bad, not bad. Our sect has grown stronger." Lei Xingfeng said, "Congratulations, founder. Congratulations, master." Only then did the other disciples react. They all thought that Lei Xingfeng was a bootlicker. But since their junior brother had spoken, they couldn't just stand there and do nothing. One by one, they went up and congratulated their founder and master. Wu Yang said, "All right, your youngest martial uncle needs at least 10 days to stabilize his cultivation. You guys can arrange shifts. One person will be on duty for a day to protect youngest martial uncle. Once he stabilizes his cultivation, we can hold the ceremony." This mission was very simple. Plus, they were in the hidden Lun space, so there was no danger. So the shift schedule was quickly arranged. Lei Xingfeng was the youngest, so he was at the back. Feng Chinzong, on the other hand, was a bit scared. This breakthrough was a bit too difficult for him. If it weren't for the sky crystal, he would have died. Even so, he almost couldn't pass. It could be said that this breakthrough was very lucky. If he had to do it again, he wasn't sure if he could succeed. After 10 days, he barely stabilized his cultivation. On this day, Wu Yang, Gucci, Tengya, and 8 other disciples set up a table under the platform to welcome Feng Chinzong down for his first meal. During this time, he hadn't eaten a single bite. He only drank some water. He was famished. Feng Chinzong walked down the platform and respectfully bowed to Wu Yang, Gucci, and Tengya. He said, "Thank you, master. Thank you, senior brother and senior sister." Wu Yang smiled. "Good, good." Gucci said, "Junior brother, no need to be so polite. Let's eat first. You must be starving." Tengya said, "This time, Tung Yuan specially cooked for us. He made a table full of food. The little guy's cultivation is average. When it comes to food, we can't compare to him." Tung Yuan laughed. "Junior uncle, try my cooking. I promise you won't be disappointed." Feng Chinzong didn't care about food. As long as he could eat his fill, he didn't care what he ate. He said, "Ah Yuan, thank you." Lei Xingfeng was very satisfied with this atmosphere. He felt that the sect was like home. There was a warm feeling. Only this kind of hidden sect had true cohesion. Everyone sat around the table. Feng Chinzong was indeed very hungry. He used his chopsticks to pick up a very thin slice of meat. After taking a bite, he felt that it wasn't enough. He put down his chopsticks and said, "Sorry, I'm going to eat." He grabbed the meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Tung Yuan's face immediately turned green. He had carefully prepared the platter with all kinds of patterns. It was really beautiful and delicious. Unfortunately, it met a guy like Feng Chinzong who didn't know anything. It was really a waste. Feng Chinzong didn't use a spoon to drink the soup. He picked up the bowl and drank it directly. He wolfed it down. Even Wu Yang and Gucci were shocked. The other disciples just watched. No one touched the food. They just watched Feng Chinzong's performance. Lei Xingfeng secretly laughed. Tung Yuan's food was really good. Unfortunately, he met Feng Chinzong. In fact, a few big bowls of stewed meat, a few big bowls of flatbread, and a big pot of meat soup would be much better than these delicate side dishes. A table of food was swept down Feng Chinzong's stomach like a tornado. He still wasn't full. He said, "What else is there? Bring it all up." Tung Yuan was about to cry. He said this. Lei Xingfeng smiled and took out a big piece of braised beef. He said, "Seventh senior brother, cut a plate for junior uncle." When Feng Chinzong saw the big piece of braised beef, his eyes lit up. He said, "No need to cut it. Just give it to me." For this meal, only Feng Chinzong ate enough. The others didn't eat at all. They all watched how Feng Chinzong stuffed himself. The ceremony for Feng Chinzong's ascension to monarch will be held a month later. During this month, the secret sects send out countless experts to deliver invitations. Lei Xingfeng also received a few missions. He brought Jean Dia and the others around and delivered many invitations. They were all to the other secret sections. As for the large sects of this world, they didn't have the qualifications to come. A few days before the ceremony, Lei Xingfeng received another mission. He was outside welcoming guests. Gucci was also there. Lei Xingfeng followed his master to meet the experts of the various secret sections. This time, there were quite a few monarchs. From morning to night, groups of guests were welcomed into the secret space. Lei Xingfeng also used this opportunity to meet many experts. Among them, there were many who gave him a red envelope. The so-called red envelope was 1 or 2 yin rings. This was already very generous. Yin rings were very valuable, so Lei Xingfeng didn't refuse. If there was one, he would accept it. If there wasn't, then so be it. He wouldn't ask for it. Even so, he had inadvertently received 20 yin rings. Jean Dia said enviously, "If I could do this every day, I'd be willing to." Although he didn't get it, he understood that 20 yin rings was a huge sum of wealth. At this time, a few people descended from the sky. Lei Xingfeng only glanced at them and froze. He said, "Why are they here?" Gucci said, "You know them?" Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth. "Of course I know them." Gucci saw that Lei Xingfeng's expression wasn't right. He said, "What's wrong? Do you have a grudge against them?" Chapter 244. During the welcoming ceremony, Lei Xingfeng met 2 enemies. One was Tian Kwa, who called the founder his brother, and the other was the evil Tang Gu. One was a monarch, the other a monarch. Gucci knew Tian Kwa, but he didn't know Tang Gu. "Senior Tian Kwa, who is this?" Lei Xingfeng said, "He is Tang Gu." He wanted to say a shameless old thing, but this was Feng Chunzong's ascension to monarch, saying that would offend the guests. He hesitated and didn't continue. Tian Kwa glanced at Lei Xingfeng. Of course, he knew that the little guy was Wu Yang's grand disciple, but he didn't know until now that Lei Xingfeng was Gucci's disciple. "Gucci, this is my disciple Tang Gu." "Haha, congratulations, you're amazing. You've also raised a monarch." Gucci was a bit cold. He already understood that Lei Xingfeng must have been bullied by them. "I didn't expect Senior Tian Kwa to be here. Please come in." Tengu rolled his eyes. He didn't say anything and followed Tian Kwa inside. Gucci whispered, "They bullied you?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes, that Tengu. He brought a group of people to surround me." Later, the founder came. He was going to kill him, but his master, Tian Kwa, came and settled the matter. Gucci nodded. "If you're weak, you'll be bullied. Work hard on your cultivation. When you become a monarch, no one will dare to bully you." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes, master." He understood this, but it was really difficult to become a monarch. He didn't think much of it at first, but after witnessing his senior brother's ascension, he wasn't so confident anymore. Disregarding everything else, just the yin rings were enough to give him a headache. Where would he get them? Gucci seemed to have seen through Lei Xingfeng's thoughts. He smiled and said, "Is it because you don't have enough yin rings?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Master, the amount of yin rings eldest senior brother used to level up is too frightening. He has tens of thousands of yin rings. Where do we get them from? It's impossible to get so many just by doing missions." Gucci said, "Don't worry. If there's a chance in the future, Master will take you to the True Monarch's Trade Fair. If you have any good materials, you can easily exchange them for a large number of yin rings." Oh right, the Star Python record I gave you last time recorded a large number of materials that a true monarch needs. Your luck in finding materials. Even your ancestor praise you endlessly. Lei Xingfeng thought, that's right. If I can get a large amount of materials and trade with a true lord, yin rings won't be a problem. I'll have to pay attention to this area in the future. The last few times I went to the outer world with senior brother, my gains were quite good. After receiving a few more waves of guests, Gucci brought Lei Xingfeng back. It was almost time for the ceremony. The venue for the ceremony was set in a large courtyard. This was the place the secret treasury used to receive important guests. There were dozens of small buildings and a large reception hall. This large hall had a circular arch supported by 27 large pillars. It was more than 1,000 square meters in area and could hold several hundred large tables. It was the largest building in Gucci's secret treasury. However, even though it was the grandest ceremony, the decorations here were simple. There were no colorful flags, flowers, or slogans. There were only large tables. Every secret sect had a table for them to sit at. Lei Xingfeng observed carefully. This was the first time he'd seen so many true monarchs and people from secret sects. There were at least 70 tables. In other words, there were more than 70 secret sects here. This was a frightening force. There were more than 70 secret sects, and this was only a small portion of the total number of secret sects. From this, it could be seen how terrifying secret sects were. Lei Xingfeng sat in the middle of his senior brothers and sisters and couldn't stop sighing with emotion. Even these senior brothers and sisters were surprised. They had seen more secret sects than Lei Xingfeng. However, the fact that there were so many secret sects was proof of the connections of the founder and master. Exine Jiaoluan said, "Many of the secret sects here don't belong to our world. They are secret sects from the outside world. Many of them should have secret treasury spaces." Lei Xingfeng asked, "Don't all secret sects have secret treasury spaces?" Exine Jiaoluan said, "Who said so? Not everyone can have secret treasury spaces. Many secret sects are usually in seclusion. They don't have secret treasury spaces to hide." Yuko said, "Of course. Without a heavenly monarch secret sect, where can you find secret treasury spaces?" "Well, it's possible that there are secret treasury spaces. They should be passed down. However, without a heavenly monarch, it's very easy for someone to snatch them away." Lei Xingfeng said, "Secret treasury spaces can be snatched away?" Exine Jiaoluan said, "Of course they can. Find a way in and out and kill everyone inside." Secret treasury spaces are a territory after all. Although this territory is very special, it can't be found without a guide. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Then won't it be safe if we keep it a secret?" Yuko smiled and said, "Keep it a secret? That's difficult. Take our secret treasury spaces, for example. Sixth ring sages can enter and exit freely. Which secret sect doesn't have thousands of sages? Can you guarantee that none of these thousands of sages will betray us? Even if they don't betray us, they might betray the secret of entering and exiting the secret sect after being threatened." Exangeloan said, "For any secret sect, sages are the foundation, true monarchs are the pillars, and heavenly monarchs and above are the high end. Only secret sects with heavenly monarchs and above are considered true secret sects. If there's a Tao monarch, then this secret sect is considered top-notch." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "Tao monarch. Senior brothers and sisters. Have you seen one before?" Yuko sneered. "Don't joke around. In this world, even heavenly monarchs are rare. Where can we find a Tao monarch? Anyway, I've only heard about it. I've never seen one." Everyone expressed that they've never seen one before. Exine Jiaoluan said, "What's the point of thinking about that? Eldest senior brother has successfully broken through and is now our junior uncle. If we want our secret sect to grow stronger, we must all work hard to break through and become true monarchs as soon as possible." He was now the second senior brother. Other than Yuko, he was the second senior brother and had the responsibility to lead his juniors. Yuko's reputation wasn't as good as Exine Jiaoluan's. This was because he only cared about his own business and didn't take care of his juniors. His popularity was passable, but as the eldest disciple, he was far worse than Feng Qinzong. Fortunately, although Yuko was the eldest senior brother, he didn't have the concept of abusing others. He only cared about himself and was a little selfish. With the arrival of all the guests, the ceremony officially began. There was no extravagance in this kind of ceremony, only a kind of solemnity. For cultivators, breaking through to true monarch was the same as stepping into a whole new world. It was a big event worthy of celebration. For other cultivators, it was a great encouragement and motivation. Any cultivator who received an invitation would feel honored to participate in this ceremony. A few heavenly monarchs went on stage to speak. They mainly congratulated Feng Qinzong and encouraged the younger disciples. Finally, Feng Zhenzong went on stage to thank them. Finally, it was time for the disciples of the various secret sects to interact. This was a rare opportunity to make friends. It was rare for disciples of the secret sects to meet and get to know each other. Lei Xingfeng also got to know a few people. However, he quickly realized that most of the disciples of the secret sects were unusually arrogant. That kind of arrogance was written all over their faces. In the end, he wasn't happy and just chatted with his seniors. A big meal was essential. This time, Lei Xingfeng asked Jin Depan to partner with Tung Yuan. He was responsible for the preparation of the feast and the cooking of the food. What surprised Lei Xingfeng the most was that Tung Yuan and Jin Depan became friends. Tung Yuan even ran to Lei Xingfeng and asked to transfer Jin Depan to him. Lei Xingfeng found it funny. When two foodies meet, they have a lot in common. So he called Jin Depan over. "Fatty, my senior brother wants you. Do you want to go?" Jin Dia laughed. "There's no problem with a little interaction. However, I'm not going to go to his place." He understood that once he went to Tung Yuan's place, it would mean leaving Lei Xingfeng. However, his relationship with Lei Xingfeng was different. He also had Jin Dia. With these 2 points, he would never leave. In fact, Lei Xingfeng didn't want Jin Depan to go either. What a joke. With Jin Depan there, he enjoyed every meal. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Senior brother, if Jin Depan doesn't want to go, then it's not up to me to decide. I always value my subordinates' opinions. I won't force them." With one sentence, he blocked Tung Yuan's invitation. Tung Yuan looked regretful. All right. We're all in the same place anyway. If he's free, he can come to my place to play." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "I have no objections." Jin Depan was also happy. After all, being in contact with a foodie would raise his level of eating. Especially since Tung Yuan was a direct descendant. He had the right to apply to go to the outside world. But for someone like Jin Depan, let alone apply, even the missions he could accept were limited. There were many missions he didn't have the qualifications to accept. Just as the senior brothers and sisters were chatting, Feng Zhenzong finally arrived in front of them. Yuko was the first to stand up. He was now the eldest senior brother, so he had to speak first. "Young martial uncle, congratulations on becoming a monarch." This was something he had to say. Then it was Xian Zhaoluan's turn to congratulate him. Qi Meiyan followed. She was now the third senior sister. Finally, it was Lei Xingfeng's turn to congratulate him. Feng Zhenzong smiled. "Brothers and sisters, there's no need to be so polite. I've troubled all of you this time." He didn't act like an elder. First, he wasn't used to it. Second, everyone had contributed to his advancement. Lei Xingfeng said, "Young martial uncle, you'll have your own hidden sect in the future. When that time comes, we'll be able to bask in your glory." Feng Zhenzong smiled. "No problem. If anyone needs it, feel free to come find me. I can provide several opportunities to open it for free." Chapter 245. Immediately, the disciples became excited. Every trip to the outer world cost some rings. If they could save some, no one would refuse. Yuko said, Junior Martial Uncle is the most generous. Just in time, I want to invite all of you to the outer world. Let's take this opportunity." Immediately, everyone's gazes gathered on him. Those were definitely looks of disdain. Xian Zhaoluan laughed. "Two different things. Don't mix them up." Feng Zhenzong obviously knew what his junior brother was thinking. He laughed. "Of course, they're two different things. I'm only giving this opportunity to one person. If it's a group trip, then rings will still be needed." A single sentence was enough to shut Yuko up. Qi Mei-yun said indifferently, "Eldest senior brother, when are we going to act? Everyone is waiting for your decision." Yuko laughed dryly. No problem. I've just been a little busy recently. When I have some free time, I'll take care of this." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Senior martial brother, it's not necessarily a loss." Yuko didn't think so. He felt that if so many people went together, it would be impossible to break even. How much would it take to make up for the loss of over 100 rings? Every time he went out, he'd be lucky if he could earn 10 or 20 rings. However, ever since he'd first gone to the outer world, he'd only earned a little more than 30 rings after deducting his costs. Feng Zhenzong said, "Oh, right, Feng, I'm going to the outer world in the future. You're the only one who has time. Why don't you come with me? Immediately, the disciples' gazes were filled with envy and jealousy. Following a monarch meant they didn't have to spend rings and didn't have to worry about their safety. Where else could they find such a good thing? Others might not know, but Xi and Jialuan and a few other disciples knew how lucky Lei Xingfeng was. The amount he'd earned from one trip to the outer world was enough for them to travel several times. It was no wonder Feng Qinzong invited him. If Lei Xingfeng didn't agree, he'd be crazy. He said, "Okay, then I'll have to trouble you, junior martial uncle." Feng Qinzong nodded in satisfaction. "I'm going to the founder's place. You guys continue." He nodded and left. Miao Ling was a little infatuated. "Little martial uncle has become more handsome." Yin Yao said disapprovingly. "How am I handsome? Are you for real?" Miao Ling blushed and said no. Yin Yao said, "That's strange. Why are you feeling guilty?" Miao Ling acted coquettishly. "Senior sister." Yin Yao rolled her eyes and said, "Little idiot." Lei Xingfeng did not dare to interrupt. They were all senior sisters, and he could not afford to offend any of them. He could only discuss with Xi and Jialuan in a low voice. Xi and Jialuan said, "You can come with us the next time we go to the outer world." Lei Xingfeng said, "How's the preparation of the materials for your advancement?" Xi and Jialuan sighed and said, "It's still lacking a lot. It's too difficult. When I saw senior martial brother advance, I almost lost all hope. He actually needs so many rings. It's too hard. So if Feng, you have to help." Lei Xingfeng said, "Me? Help? If I can help, I won't refuse." Xi and Jialuan said in a low voice, "I know you're good at mining. Let senior martial brother bask in your glory. Don't worry, senior martial brother won't let you lose out." After taking Lei Xingfeng out a few times, the benefits he got were many times better than what he got himself. If he continued to gather resources and rings at this speed, he felt that he still had some hope. Otherwise, he'd really be in despair. Lei Xingfeng never objected to this kind of mutually beneficial action. Everyone could benefit, and he was the one who got the most out of it. He'd be an idiot to refuse such a good thing. At this time, Gucci hurried over. He said, "All right, follow me to welcome the guests." Yuko was shocked. "Everyone," Gucci said, "Of course. Hurry up, what's with all the nonsense?" Xi and Jialuan stood up and said, "Let's go, everyone together." Although everyone was curious, they still followed Gucci outside. At this time, Lei Xingfeng saw many hidden sect experts, all of them monarchs and above, stand up one after another. Under the guidance of the attendants, they walked out. He couldn't help but be even more curious. A large group of people walking out was a bit loud. At the entrance, Wu Yang and Feng Qinzong were already standing there. A group of experts quickly followed. Lei Xingfeng was very surprised. What kind of guests are they? Why are there so many people here to welcome them? Xi and Jialuan shook his head. "I don't know, but they should be very powerful." Lei Xingfeng didn't understand. How powerful? Could they be Dao monarchs? Xi and Jialuan said, "That's possible. Only Dao monarchs are worthy of so many people coming to welcome them." Lei Xingfeng couldn't believe it. Before, when they talked about Dao monarchs, no one mentioned Dao monarchs. Of course, he didn't ask the founder either. If there was a Dao monarch, the founder would definitely know. Was this a Dao monarch? He was very curious. After waiting for about 10 minutes, a group of people walked in. More accurately, it was a group of women. Lei Xingfeng was surprised. They're all women? There were more than 10 women, all of them gorgeously dressed. The woman in the lead was the same as the founder. She looked very young, but also very beautiful. Even with Lei Xingfeng's eyes, he couldn't help but sigh. This woman's appearance was absolutely devastatingly beautiful. He didn't even dare to look at her closely. He glanced at her and was shocked. He quickly lowered his head and said, "What the hell? This is too king exaggerated." Even monarchs would lower their heads when they saw this woman. They didn't want to lose their composure. Only monarchs could remain calm. No matter who it was, they would lose their composure. The founder, Wu Yang, smiled and said, Martial Uncle Luo Yeruo, welcome. Lei Xingfeng was shocked. Second senior brother, it's true. This is a Dao monarch and a woman. Wu Yang was a monarch, one step away from becoming a Dao monarch. His senior was undoubtedly a Dao monarch. The woman laughed. Little Wu Yang, long time no see. How is your master? Wu Yang smiled bitterly. He had been a monarch for so long, but he was still called Little Wu Yang. He felt helpless. Master has been gone for a long time. I haven't heard from him. Lei Xingfeng just realized that there was a master above the founder. This inheritance was really powerful. Luo Yeruo asked again, "This is Feng Qinzong?" Feng Qinzong stepped forward. "Greetings, Martial Ant." Luo Yeruo looked at him carefully and said, "Your luck is not bad." In other words, his luck was not bad. If his luck was bad, he would have died. With her eyesight, she could see that Feng Qinzong had barely advanced. Wu Yang, of course, knew what she meant. He nodded. It was just luck. A woman beside Luo Yeruo stepped forward. Yin Luo greets senior brother Wu Yang. Lei Xingfeng's heart jumped. This woman is a monarch. He stole a glance. This woman looked delicate and pretty, different from her master. She gave off a good feeling. Wu Yang smiled. Junior sister, long time no see. Yin Luo smiled. Senior brother, I've accepted a good grand disciple. Yao, come and greet Martial Uncle. Because her disciple had not advanced a monarch, she could only follow the rules and treat her as her grand disciple. However, she would teach her personally, so she called Wu Yang Martial Uncle. Lei Xinyao greets Martial Uncle. Just this one sentence made Lei Xingfeng dizzy. His little sister was called Lei Xinyao. Raising his head, he could only see the back of a young woman. Although he couldn't see her face, Xian Feng could feel her strength, a true master with 4 true ring bodies. Wu Yang was surprised. Lei Xinyao? I have a grand disciple called Lei Xingfeng. Xian Yao suddenly stood up and said, Brother? Lei Xingfeng couldn't care less. He had already determined that this girl was his little sister. He shouted, Little sister. Lei Xinyao turned around. Her eyes were filled with tears. She looked at the unfamiliar, yet familiar, Lei Xingfeng. They hadn't seen each other for so many years. She had grown from a little girl to a 4th ring sage. Both of them had changed a lot. The only thing that didn't change was their love and longing. Yin Luo also stood up in surprise. She knew that Lei Xinyao had a brother. She didn't expect to find him here. She asked, Martial brother, is this your grand disciple? Luo Yeruo glanced at Lei Xingfeng. Very good potential. He's not any worse than his little sister. Lei Xinyao threw herself into Lei Xingfeng's arms and cried. You don't want Yao anymore. Whoa, Yi isn't here. Brother isn't here. You left Yao alone. Whoa. Lei Xingfeng was flustered. Yao, don't cry. Don't cry. It's all brother's fault. Lei Xinyao cried until the sky darkened. She had too many grievances to vent. Yin Luo doted on Lei Xinyao. Seeing the little girl cry like this, she became sad. Yao, come to me. Lei Xingfeng comforted her. Yao, don't cry. Call your martial uncle. Lei Xinyao finally stopped crying. With tears in her eyes, she said, Brother, you won't leave me anymore, right? Lei Xingfeng said honestly, of course. Only then did Xian Yao reveal a smile. She pulled Xian Feng in front of Yin Luo and said, Ancestor, this is my brother. She introduced him proudly. Yin Luo nodded. Very good, very good. Very quickly, Lei Xingfeng pulled Lei Xinyao to the side. There was still a large group of people who wanted to greet them. Lei Xingfeng said, Yao, that Aslan. I searched for a long time, but couldn't find her. Did she bring you to the secret door? Lei Xinyao said angrily, She's a bad person. Lei Xingfeng said, She bullied you? There was a trace of killing intent in his voice. Lei Xinyao shook her head. She sold me. Xian Feng was dumbfounded. He spoke, sold? That bastard. Where did she sell you? Chapter 246. Xian Yao said, It's my current sect. Lei Xingfeng immediately understood that Aslan was after the Yin Ring. There was no other reason. He asked, Did Aslan mistreat you? Xian Yao said, No, she actually treated me well, but she shouldn't have sold me. Yin Luoluo was a lord of heaven, just like Wu Yang. Xian Yao was her disciple. Although she didn't call her master, their relationship was closer than master and disciple. Lei Xingfeng could see that both Yin Luoluo and the even more powerful Luo Yeruo treated Xian Yao very well. After a flurry of activity, Wu Yang personally accompanied Luo Yeruo to the grand hall of the ceremony. Yin Luoluo held Xian Yao's hand. Lei Xingfeng didn't want to leave Lei Xingfeng, so she held Lei Xingfeng's hand. The three of them walked in a row. Behind them, many people felt dizzy. Yin Luoluo's fame was obviously greater than Wu Yang's. It was hard to believe that she would personally accept a disciple. Xian Yao and Lei Xingfeng talked about what happened after they parted. Hearing Xian Yao's explanation, Lei Xingfeng was no longer angry. He was actually grateful to Aslan. No matter what Aslan did, the secret sect Xian Yao entered was not only famous, but also powerful. It wasn't something a normal secret sect could compare to. Xian Yao's journey was no less complicated than Lei Xingfeng's. When Aslan took Xian Yao to escape, she planned to sell Xian Yao from the start. The main reason was that Xian Yao's potential was too good. She had the wood element, which was the so-called green element. It was similar to the lightning element. This type of element was very rare. If she had good potential, she would definitely be a disciple a secret sect would want the most. After leaving with Xian Yao, Aslan ran everywhere. She was also afraid that Thunderstorm would find her, so she purposely set up a maze, leaving behind all kinds of uncertain information. Finally, she found Yin Luoluo's secret sect. Yin Luoluo fell in love with Lei Xian Yao almost at first sight. She spent about a few hundred yin rings, and only Lei Xian Yao stayed. After Aslan left, he immediately hid in the outer world to cultivate. Even if he didn't have 9 rings, he would have at least 8. There were indeed many experts in Yin Luoluo's secret sect. There were several perfected lords in the sect, not to mention the top Taoist, Lord Luo Yeruo. Most importantly, Yin Luoluo's secret sect produced all kinds of medicines. Some of the medicines were very precious and rare. It was difficult for outsiders to obtain them. For example, for Feng Shenzong's advancement this time, if he had obtained a secret Qian Yao before his advancement, its effects would be similar to the sky crystal. Of course, it wouldn't be as good as the sky crystal, but it would still be half as effective. Qian Yao was a secret medicine from Yin Luoluo's secret sect. There were other similar medicines. Other than being used for advancement, there were also medicines that could extend one's life, maintain one's appearance, and heal injuries. These kinds of secret sects were very powerful because they had resources that others didn't have. No secret sects would dare to offend them unless they were stupid. Lei Xingfeng's face was full of smiles. He found his little sister and saw that she was living a good life. She had a Yin Luoluo who loved her and a powerful secret sect. His little sister's strength also increased rapidly. She already had 4 true ring bodies. This made Lei Xingfeng feel relieved. Lei Xian Yao was even happier. She pulled Lei Xingfeng's hand and laughed nonstop. Her little face was smiling like a flower. Brother, where did Yi go? Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. Yi's being chased. I don't know where he went. Lei Xian Yao said, Who's chasing Yi? Bad guy, I'll ask Grandma to kill him. In private, she always called Yin Luoluo Grandma. Only when there were people did she call her Grandmaster. Lei Xingfeng said, He's also from the secret sect. That person is called Si Danua. Little sister, remember this guy. Oh, right, that Si Danua is that person's disciple. He secretly pointed at Tianqua and Tangu, who were not far away. Lei Xian Yao nodded hard. I'll remember. Lei Xingfeng didn't know that if Lei Xian Yao remembered him, Tianqua would be in trouble. This guy was thinking of getting some medicine from Yin Luoluo. With a troublemaker like her around, he probably wouldn't have any chances. Yin Luoluo looked at the siblings in amusement. She could clearly hear the whispers of the 2 little fellows. She had spoiled Lei Xian Yao to the bone. In the secret sect, Lei Xian Yao was like a little great-grandmother. Countless people tried to curry favor with her and flatter her. In the sect, even monarch-level experts had to coax her. After all, her direct teacher was Yin Luluo, so she was definitely in charge of the family. Lei Xingfeng didn't return to his senior brother and sister's table. Instead, he sat at Yin Luoluo's table. He sat next to Lei Xian Yao. The two of them still lowered their heads and talked. After not seeing each other for so many years, the two of them had endless things to talk about. The two of them chatted as if there was no one around them. They kept laughing. As for the others, they ignored them. Wu Yang was very happy. He had a good relationship with Yin Luoluo, but with Lei Xingfeng and Lei Xian Yao's relationship, the relationship between the two secret sects was even stronger. Lei Xian Yao said, "All right, brother, I have some good things here. Hee, I'll give them all to you." Then she took out a few potions and handed them to Lei Xingfeng. She said, "These are potions specially used to treat injuries. They are very effective. As long as you have a breath left, they can save you." There were 3 dark green potions. Lei Xingfeng said, "So powerful." Lei Xian Yao said proudly, "These are potions made by the ancestor. They are even better than grandma's." Yin Luoluo reached out and patted Lei Xian Yao's head. She said, "These are potions that the ancestor gave you to save your life. Why did you take them out?" Lei Xian Yao said coquettishly, "Grandma, I'm worried about brother. I usually stay at home and don't go out. It's very dangerous for brother to be outside. With these potions, he'll be fine." Yin Luoluo smiled bitterly. This potion was called soul stabilizing. In other words, even if one's soul was about to dissipate, this potion could still stabilize one's soul. It was an extremely precious potion. If it was not for Luo Yerua's love for her, she would not have given Lei Xian Yao such a potion. Lei Xingfeng only now knew how precious this potion was. After hesitating for a while, Lei Xingfeng kept one and said, "Little sister, I'll just take one hee." Lei Xian Yao shook her head vigorously. "No, brother will take it." Yin Luoluo sighed. "You siblings have a really good relationship." After the ceremony, Lei Xian Yao came to Lei Xingfeng's residence. Although Lei Xingfeng couldn't let Lei Xian Yao stay for a long time, she could still stay for a few days. After the ceremony ended, the guests left one after another. Yin Luoluo also stayed for a few days because of Lei Xian Yao. Luo Yeruo was asked to stay by Wu Yang because Wu Yang wanted to ask her to concoct potions. The 2 pairs of smoke-eating bugs he got from Lei Xingfeng last time were concocted into a potion called 100 Cycle 1000 Piercing. It was a supplementary potion for heaven monarchs to advance to down monarchs. Luo Yeruo was shocked. "You actually found 2 pairs of smoke-eating bugs? That's incredible. These things are really hard to come by." Wu Yang smiled proudly. "Luckily, my little grand disciple got them, Luo Yeruo said, "With the smoke-eating bugs, you should also have the smoke water liquid, right?" Wu Yang said, yes, the best quality smoke water liquid. I have quite a lot." Luo Yeruo smiled. "You're planning to advance? After so many years of preparation, you want me to concoct 100 Cycle 1000 Piercing this time?" Wu Yang gave her a thumbs up. "That's right. 2 pairs of smoke-eating bugs can be used to concoct 200 Cycle 1000 Piercing potions, right?" Luo Yeruo said, "Let's see the quality of the smoke-eating bugs first." Wu Yang took out the smoke-eating bugs and said, "Martial ant, look." Luo Yeruo observed carefully and said, "Not bad. You've cultivated them well. You probably got a lot of the best quality smoke water liquid, right? Otherwise, the smoke-eating bugs won't be easy to raise." Wu Yang smiled. "My little grand disciple not only found the smoke-eating bugs, but also a lot of the best quality smoke water liquid. That's why I have the confidence to ask Martial Ant to concoct the potion." Luo Yeruo said, "That's not enough. The smoke-eating bugs are only one of the main ingredients. We still lack another main ingredient. Have you prepared it?" Wu Yang said, "Of course. The 100 Cycle 1000 Piercing potion mainly needs 2 main ingredients. One is the smoke-eating bugs, and the other is the blood essence of the star beasts. I prepared both." He took out an exquisite box. After opening it, he said, "Martial Ant, do you think this will work? He looked at Luo Yeruo a little uneasily. Luo Yeruo smiled. It's dried blood essence. Let me take a look. She opened the wooden box. This wooden box was made of lacquered ebony. There was a flat, round object inside. It was about 2 centimeters thick and only 10 centimeters in diameter. It was round like a cake, and there was a dried leaf on top and bottom. Luo Yeruo nodded. This lacquered ebony box can indeed preserve dried blood essence. Duo Long Yi, hee, how luxurious. She opened the Duo Long Yi and used her fingernail to scratch the dried blood essence. She rubbed off some powder and put it on her tongue. She smacked her lips and nodded. Good stuff. Hee, it's the best quality blood essence. It can be preserved well. Wu Yang let out a sigh of relief. That's great. He rubbed his hands hard. What else do you need? Just tell me, martial ant. Luo Yeruo said. You know the rules for me to make the potion. Have you prepared the earrings? Wu Yang's face turned bitter. I know. 100,000 earrings. Luo Yeruo giggled. That's 1 ring. Wu Yang hung his head dejectedly. Sigh, I've been spending a lot lately. Can you, forget it? I'll think of something. Luo Yeruo smiled. There's a way. I don't need you to pay for the earrings. I can even help you make the potion. Chapter 247. Wu Yang's eyes lit up. The medicine a heavenly monarch needed was extremely expensive. Not to mention the materials, just the cost of concocting was enough to bankrupt a hidden sect. If he could save this cost, Wu Yang would be willing to commit murder and arson. Luo Yeruo asked, Do you have more of these? Wu Yang was stunned and said, You want the smoke-eating bug? Luo Yeruo smiled. If you have an extra pair of smoke-eating bugs, you can save 50,000 earrings. If you have extra smoke water liquid, enough to cultivate smoke-eating bugs, you can save another 50,000 earrings. If you have 2 pairs of smoke-eating bugs, Little Wu Yang, you only need to pay 50,000 earrings, and I can help you make the 100,000 piercing potion. Wu Yang suddenly smiled. What if I have an extra portion of smoke water? Does that mean I don't have to spend earrings? He couldn't be blamed. Feng Shenzong's advancement had already cost him a lot of earrings. Plus, he needed to buy some materials for his advancement. He was probably a relatively poor heavenly monarch now. Luo Yeruo didn't think much of it. If I'm satisfied and don't have to spend earrings, it's not a big deal. She acted like she was rich. Wu Yang paused for a moment, then suddenly became overjoyed. He clapped his hands and called for the housekeeper. Quick, go get a phone. Quick. The housekeeper ran out like a wisp of smoke. A moment later, Lei Xingfeng and Lei Xingyao walked in. Luo Yeruo smiled. Isn't this our family's treasure? What are you doing here, Yao Yao? Lei Xingyao said, I came with my brother. Lei Xingfeng bowed. Greetings, Grand Elder. Greetings, Grand Elder. Wu Yang waved his hand. There's no need to be so polite. A phone this. Suddenly, he felt a bit embarrassed. When he first got the smoke water, Lei Xingfeng said it was a gift, and he compensated him with earrings. But now, it seemed like the compensation was too little. Lei Xingfeng said, Grandmaster, if there's anything you need, please instruct me. In order to save money, Wu Yang gritted his teeth and said that, Smoke-eating bug. Do you still have any smoke-eating bugs? When Lei Xingfeng found 7 pairs of smoke-eating bugs, he gave 2 to Wu Yang and kept 5 for himself. He had been using smoke water to raise them, and their quality had improved. Lei Xingfeng said, Also, do you need them? Wu Yang said, That's good. Do you have 2 pairs? If not, a pair will do. Lei Xingfeng nodded. No problem. I have 2 pairs of smoke-eating bugs. As he spoke, he took out the smoke water and said, You need to use smoke water to raise them. These things consume a lot of smoke water, and I can't take it anymore. If Grand Elder wants them, then that's the best. He gave Wu Yang a way out so that he wouldn't feel awkward. Wu Yang was touched. He wasn't a brat who didn't know anything. He was an extremely shrewd person. How could he not know that Lei Xingfeng was giving him a way out? He nodded. Good. Master, what do you think of these smoke water eating bugs? Luo Yeruo stared at Lei Xingfeng. She was even more shrewd than Wu Yang. How could she not know that Lei Xingfeng was flattering Wuyong. However, this had nothing to do with her. After looking carefully at the 2 pairs of smoke water eating bugs, she couldn't help but exclaim, "They're really good. Little Wuyong, your grand disciple, the smoke water eating bugs he raised are better than yours." It was no wonder. Lei Xingfeng's smoke water eating bugs relied on smoke water eating bugs to grow. With good food, they would naturally grow. It wasn't strange that they were better than Wu Yang's smoke water eating bugs. Wu Yang said, "Give them to me." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes, no problem." This time, he couldn't say that he was being filial. There was no reason for that. He believed that Grand Elder wouldn't let him suffer. Wu Yang smiled and said, "All right, Martial Uncle." Yusiluo Yeruo put away the smoke water eating bugs and nodded. "Then do as I said. After a while, let your disciple come and get them." Wu Yang's face was full of smiles. He'd practically gotten 2 bottles of medicine for free. 100 return, 1,000 armor. This was a medicine that could increase the probability of advancement. It was very difficult to get. If this medicine was placed in front of a group of Sky Monarch Realm experts, 1 bottle could easily fetch 1,000,000 yen rings. Luo Yeruo said meaningfully, "You're taking advantage of your grand disciple." Wu Yang patted Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, "A phone, when you advance, Grand Elder will take care of all your yen rings." Lei Xingfeng was stunned. He'd just experienced Feng Qinzong's advancement and knew that countless yen rings would be used up. He was worried about where he'd get so many yen rings, but Grand Elder just waved his hand and he took it all. When he came to, he quickly thanked, "Thank you, Grand Elder. Thank you, Grand Elder." Wu Yang's face reddened. He got a great deal just like that. A sage needed around 20 to 50,000 yen rings to advance to Monarch Realm. If you were extravagant, you'd use more. If you were frugal, you'd use less. But no matter how extravagant you were, it wouldn't cost 50,000 yen rings. Wu Yang, on the other hand, could save 200,000 yen rings with these 2 pairs of smoke water eating bugs and some smoke water liquid. Even if Lei Xingfeng knew the price and the method of conversion, he would have done it without hesitation. If it weren't for the hidden door, so what if he found the smoke water eating bugs? In the eyes of those who didn't know the value of the smoke water eating bugs, they were nothing. After Lei Xingfeng handed over the smoke water eating bugs, he left with Lei Xingyao. The 2 siblings treasured this short time together. Lei Xingfeng knew that Lei Xingyao wouldn't live with him in the future. She had her own path to walk. Lei Xingfeng gave Lei Xingyao a portion of the things he collected, the most precious of which was a saint crystal. Xian Yao, on the other hand, had been a little money grubber since she was young. She liked to collect food and gold rings, mainly because she was afraid of being poor and hungry when she was young. After entering the secret sect, she didn't collect food and gold rings anymore. Instead, she collected yen rings. Since yen rings were hard currency that could be exchanged for anything, she had a large amount of yen rings in her hands. As the most famous hidden door for making medicine, yen rings were relatively lax. For example, Lei Xingyao received a fixed amount of 1,000 yen rings every month. Lei Xingfeng, on the other hand, only received about 50 yen rings a month. If he didn't do any missions, his income would be even lower. So when Lei Xingyao knew that her brother needed yen rings, she gave him 20,000 yen rings in one go. This surprised Lei Xingfeng. This little sister of his was too surprising. The 2 discussed when they would meet and how they would find a way to go together once they reached the outer world. After losing contact for so many years, the 2 were afraid and created many ways to contact each other. They were afraid that they would never see each other again once they were separated. These few days, the smile on Lei Xingyao's face never disappeared. Yin Luoluo was also very happy. She really liked Lei Xingyao. The little girl had been very sensible since she was young and knew how to dote on others. At first, it was because of the little girl's amazing potential, but later on, even if Lei Xingyao didn't have any aptitude, she would still treat the little girl as her precious treasure. People's feelings were accumulated bit by bit. The little girl was obedient, capable, gentle, and cute. How could she not like her? Lei Xingyao had been to the outer world twice, both times with Yin Luoluo. So she looked forward to the outer world. Lei Xingfeng invited her to explore the outer world in the future. These few days, Jean Depang showed off his skills. Every meal he ate was praised by Lei Xingyao and Yin Luoluo. This guy used all kinds of ways to please them. Yin Luoluo even rewarded him with a few dozen rings. He was so happy that he almost fainted. Lei Xingyao also had guards, and her guard captain was unbelievably strong. He was actually a monarch. When Lei Xingfeng found out that the unassuming old lady was a monarch, he almost peed himself. His master was also a monarch. His little sister's guard captain was also a monarch. Of course, this monarch was an overstatement. It was many times stronger than a ninth ring true body expert. But compared to a monarch of the same level, it was much weaker. This was because this monarch was raised through medicine. In Yanluo's secret sect, there were only a few monarchs like this. As the most favored disciple, Lei Xingyao was the only disciple with a monarch. This old lady was called Yin Shaoqing. She was Yan Luoluo's grandniece. She had always been Yan Luoluo's housekeeper. Later, she gave it to Lei Xingyao. Lei Xingyao also had a dozen guards, all of whom were ninth ring true bodies. Lei Xingfeng didn't dare to compare himself with her. If he really did, Lei Xingfeng would probably vomit blood. In these few days, Lei Xingfeng and Lei Xingyao's guards became familiar. Lei Xingyao also got to know Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. Like Lei Xingfeng, she also called them Uncle Jean, Uncle Ing, and Uncle Tiger. They were very likable. Lei Xingfeng said, "Yao Yao, your sect is very strong. You were able to ask the experts in your sect to find Yi. I thought my sect was very strong, but it's still a bit lacking." Lei Xingyao nodded, and I'll talk to Granny. Granny was Lei Xingyao's head guard, Yin Shaoqing. She was an ordinary old lady who was very close to Lei Xingyao. She usually spent most of her time with Lei Xingyao, just like Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. Because Yin Shaoqing used to be Yin Luoluo's housekeeper, she not only knew many people, but also controlled many organizations and people. The old lady was very thin and weak, as if a gust of wind could blow her away. She also liked to wear black clothes and pants. Sometimes, she felt like a ghost. In addition, her strength was very strong. She came and went without a sound. Many people in Lei Xingfeng's house were afraid of her, especially Jean Depang. Jean Depang was scared once. That time, he carried a pot of cooked food to Lei Xingyao's room. In the end, when he reached the door, a black shadow suddenly blocked his way. It was really silent. Even if Jean Depang was thick-skinned, he was so scared that he threw the pot away. Yin Shaoqing easily caught the boiling hot pot and said coldly, "I'll send." Jean Depang ran away, pissing his pants. He was almost scared to death. Because of this, Jean Depang was mocked by many people. This guy swore that it wasn't because he was a coward, but because the old lady was too strange. Chapter 248. Lei Xingfeng was also very respectful to Yin Shaoqing. Like Xian Yao, he called her Granny. Granny loved everything related to the house. She was very cold to everyone except for Lei Xingfeng. Luo Yeruo quickly left with her subordinates. Xian Yao didn't want to go back immediately. After crying once, Yin Luoluo's heart softened and she agreed. She let Yin Shaoqing protect her while she went back first, leaving Xian Yao to stay with Lei Xingfeng. During this period of time, other than accompanying Xian Yao, Lei Xingfeng was commanding his subordinates to process the pitch ebony. The best quality pitch ebony was processed and could be used to store high-level materials, including some fresh materials. Normal pitch ebony could be used to make boxes and barrels. It was the best storage tool. Its biggest use was to preserve freshness. For example, if it was placed in the hidden Luin space without processing, it would rot and stink. But if it was placed in a wooden barrel made of pitch ebony, it could preserve freshness for at least half a year. Of course, the use of pitch ebony wasn't unlimited. After half a year, the meat would rot. A large number of pitch ebony barrels and boxes were made. Lei Xingfeng gave his little sister a lot. Xian Yao liked these things very much. Her profession required a large amount of pitch ebony storage tools. Xian Yao was of the wood attribute, so she naturally had a great interest in wooden things. As a special type of wood, lacquer ebony also had a special property, which made her like it even more. Especially when she concocted medicine, she needed a large amount of plants, some of which had to be fresh. Preservation was an important topic, and the box made of lacquer ebony had a natural preservation function, which meant that any fresh plants that were gathered could be stored for a very long time without any processing, which was very important to her. This was very important. Xi and Yao's sect had a special preservation medicine, but for some plants, once the medicine was used, the quality of the plants would be damaged. With the pitch ebony boxes, this problem didn't exist. The boxes made of pitch ebony were the best storage tools for preservation. Lei Xingfeng used to crazily cut down trees and obtained countless pitch ebony. Among them, there were many high-quality pitch ebony. They were all ancient trees that had grown for hundreds or even thousands of years. High-quality pitch ebony boxes could be made into countless boxes, so he gave them away everywhere. They were all practitioners and had their hidden Luin space. No one didn't like pitch ebony. Of course, pitch ebony wasn't very rare. Those who had some ability could get some. But Lei Xingfeng could make boxes and storage tools. There weren't many people who could make boxes and storage tools. Xi Yao helped Lei Xingfeng. She had a special method to make the boxes more freshness. This was her innate skill. But she couldn't make a lot of boxes. And she could make ebony boxes. Two. The boxes that were processed by Xi and Yao had at least doubled their freshness. It was very miraculous. Of course, Lei Xingfeng wouldn't give this kind of box away. He kept it carefully. Lei Xingfeng also took this opportunity to organize his hidden Luin space. Things that needed to be stored in pitch ebony boxes were placed inside. Only now did Lei Xingfeng realize that he was quite rich. This so-called money was yin rings and various materials, especially yin rings. The 20,000 yin rings that Xi and Yao gave him made him the wealthiest among his senior brothers and sisters in an instant. In addition, the ancestor promised that once he became a monarch, all yin rings would be taken care of by him. This saved him a lot of money. Xi and Yao stayed at her brother's house for more than a month. Under Yin Shaoqing's urging, she had no choice but to leave with tears in her eyes. However, after more than a month of living, Xi and Yao had become more lively. To her, finding her brother was like finding a pillar of support. This was a pillar of support for her soul. She was no longer like before, drifting away like duckweed. She had found her roots. Lei Xingfeng brought Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all the way to Xi and Yao's home. Because Yin Luo's hidden door prohibited any men from entering, there were no men in their hidden space. All of them were women. Therefore, Lei Xingfeng and the others could only send them to the entrance of the hidden space. The entrance of Yin Luo's hidden door was also located in Wanxi continent. It wasn't too far from Guqi's hidden door. With such a close distance, they arrived in just one round. Lei Xingfeng's heart also became happy. If he wanted to find his little sister, it was really very convenient. This made him completely relieved. After saying goodbye, Lei Xingfeng and the others returned to their hidden door. Just as they reached home, Chief AI-8 followed them in. The whole process only took a few minutes. He said, "Little Ninth Master, no, I should call you Little Eighth Master, He joked. Lei Xingfeng laughed. How come Chief is free to come? AI Pa Dao. Io, Little Eighth Master, you're not welcome. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, I don't dare, I'll be beaten by Master. Please come in and sit. AI Pa Dao. I won't go in and sit. Master invites you. Lei Xingfeng. Master is looking for me? Okay, I'll go now. Before they returned to their room, Lei Xingfeng hurriedly left with Jean Dia. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love stayed at home. In a hidden space, there wasn't so many people following them. Lei Xingfeng came to Guqi's room and laughed. Master, looking for me? Little martial uncle is also here. Guqi and Feng Qinzong sat together. Guqi said, Your little martial uncle is looking for you. Lei Xingfeng, little martial uncle, Why are you looking for me? Ever since he obtained the sky crystal and successfully broke through, Feng Shenzong's feelings towards Lei Xingfeng were completely different. He felt that Lei Xingfeng brought him good luck, allowing him to break through so smoothly. After a few days of stabilizing his cultivation, he couldn't wait to take action. The amount of resources needed to become a monarch was enormous. Feng Shenzong had no disciples yet, nor did he have a large force under his command. He needed to borrow the power of his sect to help him find materials and resources. He needed to slowly accumulate them. So he planned to use Lei Xingfeng's good luck to open the hidden door for the first time, and use his hidden door for the first time to find materials in the outer world. Feng Shenzong simply said that he was going to open the hidden door and wanted to invite Lei Xingfeng to come with him. Lei Xingfeng immediately agreed. Where else could he find such a good thing? If he went to the outer world, he would have to spend a lot of yin rings. It would be strange if he didn't agree when someone specially invited him, and he didn't need to spend any yin rings, and he could bring his subordinates with him. Feng Shenzong was very satisfied. He laughed. Your harvest this time is all yours. Haha, and the place we're going to this time won't be far. Once I finish setting up the hidden door, I'll invite you to come with me. Feng, get ready. Lei Xingfeng agreed and said, Little martial uncle, do you need me to bring anything? Feng Shenzong laughed. Bring Jean to Pan. That kid cooks delicious food, haha. In fact, he could bring Tung Yuan, but to take care of Jean Daya, he called Jean to Pan. Jean Daya was now one of Lei Xingfeng's most favored guards. He was in charge of many things, and his position was quite high. Lei Xingfeng nodded. No problem. Jean Daya also went up to thank him. He wasn't someone who didn't know anything. Of course, he knew about Feng Shenzong's support. Feng Shenzong was different now. He was already a monarch, leaving the realm of sage. His strength wasn't something a sage could imagine. Feng Shenzong nodded and said, Feng, this time, opening the hidden door will depend on my luck. I hope you can bring me good luck. Haha, luck is very important when opening a hidden door for the first time. Lei Xingfeng was curious. What do you mean? Feng Shenzong said, when a hidden door opens for the first time, it will automatically choose a world. Only then can I fully control the hidden door. In other words, after the hidden door opens for the first time, even I don't know what world I'll be in after opening the hidden door. Gucci said, it really depends on luck. Some people enter a normal world after opening the hidden door, and they can't find any resources. Haha, some people enter a super scary world, and there are heavy casualties. Of course, the best is to open a world with rich resources. You can often monopolize it for a long time, as long as you don't leak the coordinates. Lei Xingfeng was curious. The coordinates of the hidden world? Can't you find it with a hidden door? Gucci said, how is that possible? Anyone who becomes a monarch can obtain their first set of coordinates. This hidden world is unique. Of course, after opening it, you can give the coordinates to another monarch, and he can go there too. Lei Xingfeng found it hard to understand. After a while, he said, so, all the places I went before were like this? Gucci said, that's right, a true monarch. It depends on how many coordinates he has collected. This means that you can go to more outer worlds and collect more resources. Lei Xingfeng suddenly understood. The hidden worlds weren't places you could just go to. These hidden worlds were unique coordinates that every monarch obtained when they opened the hidden door. Then, after countless years, these coordinates would begin to circulate. For example, if two monarchs were on good terms, and the other had the coordinates to produce the resources they needed, the only way was to exchange the hidden world's coordinates. Then, they would have an extra set of coordinates. In this way, a dozen monarchs would have the coordinates of a dozen hidden worlds. After countless years, there would always be some coordinates that everyone knew, and they would gradually become public. As long as one became a monarch, they would be able to bring people there. The cost was only yin ring. As for the truly good hidden worlds, it depended on the results of those who had just become monarchs and opened the hidden door for the first time. This was an extremely important matter for any secret sect. Once a secret sect opened and discovered an outer world that was akin to a treasure trove, the secret sect would prosper. This was also the real reason why a secret sect would be so happy and elated when a disciple advanced to true monarch. Chapter 249. Lei Xingfeng muttered, "It's really a gamble of luck." Feng Qinzhou nodded. "That's right. It's a gamble of luck. I believe Feng's luck is extremely good, hee. Lei Xingfeng thought, holy shit, what if we open a bad world? Whose luck is this? Now, even he began to feel uneasy. This was too important. Every coordinate was unique. This was something that Lei Xingfeng had just learned. In other words, the first time they opened the door, they wouldn't open a world that had already appeared. It should be a completely new world. Once they entered, it would be tantamount to invading the world. Invading another world was a common occurrence for cultivators, especially those who had reached the level of monarch. Every monarch had to invade the outside world the first time they opened the hidden door. There was no exception. Feng Qinzhou was no exception. This was the biggest reward he had ever received after becoming a monarch in his life. This time, not only would his senior apprentice brother Gucci be going, but his master, Wu Yang, would also be going. This kind of newly opened world often contained countless opportunities, but also countless dangers. Without the strength of a monarch, it was impossible to even think about exploring it. If one didn't have the strength of a monarch, they would be completely wiped out. All kinds of preparations had to be made. Food was also very important. This time, Lei Xingfeng would be the one to solve this problem. This was his mission. After chatting for a bit, Lei Xingfeng said goodbye. He had to go back and prepare. He had to rush back before the door opened. After returning home, Lei Xingfeng immediately got to work. The first thing was to buy food. This task was given to Jin Depang. When he heard that Lei Xingfeng was going to take him to the world, he was so excited that he almost knelt down. He took the money and ran out. Jin Dia couldn't help but laugh and curse at him. This time, aside from Jin Depang, the others were people Lei Xingfeng was familiar with: Jin Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. One more person meant one more ring. Although Feng Qinzhou was generous, Lei Xingfeng wouldn't take this opportunity to bring a large group of people. Originally, he wanted to pick up Lei Xingfeng, but thinking about the dangers of the new world, Lei Xingfeng gave up. He didn't want Lei Xingyao to be in danger at all. Preparing food was simple. The secret treasure space itself produced food. Otherwise, those who were trapped inside would not die due to lack of food. Not to mention, the territory outside the secret treasure space was the base of the secret sect. Although it was not eye-catching, if there were any enemies, they would be wiped out immediately with a thunderous force. A large amount of food was prepared and distributed to several people, including Lei Xingfeng. The food would not be concentrated on one person. This was a rule and also a safety strategy. Lei Xingfeng had already obtained the list of materials he needed to advance. This was a list of materials that Wu Yang had asked someone to get for him. It was a list of materials that Thunder-attributed cultivators would need to advance. If Lei Xingfeng didn't join the secret sect, he would have no problem advancing to 9th Ring Sage with his own strength. However, it was almost impossible for him to advance to Monarch. Advancing to Monarch required all kinds of resources, protection from experts, and a large amount of materials. How could a wandering cultivator do all this? Not to mention, many of the materials needed to advance had to be obtained from the outside world. Looking at the list, Xian Feng's heart was filled with panic. The number of items needed was simply too frightening, especially the rare items that were hard to obtain. Holding the list, Lei Xingfeng sat in the living room in a daze. This list of materials made from star python skin could also be called the star python record. Holding the star python record, Lei Xingfeng was secretly worried. There were just too many materials. There were thousands of materials, and a small portion of them were rare. This gave him a headache. In fact, this list should have been given to him after he advanced to 9th Ring. However, Lei Xingfeng was a little different. This guy advanced so quickly that even Wu Yang was stunned. Lei Xingfeng's cultivation didn't come from rings. He advanced on his own. This was something that Wu Yang knew very well. He knew that this child was incomparably monstrous. This was why he gave him the list in advance, so that he could prepare early. Lei Xingfeng calculated. Even if he could find a material in 10 days, he would need 10,000 days to find it. That was close to 30 years. He also calculated that he already had about 100 materials. He was still missing 1,000. Of course, some of these materials could be bought with rings. After some calculations, Lei Xingfeng knew that he wouldn't be able to gather all the materials recorded in the Star Python record without 10 years. Holding the Star Python record, Lei Xingfeng read it over and over again. At the same time, he silently memorized it. He needed to completely memorize this list so that he wouldn't miss out on any useful materials in the future. 1,000 or so materials. If this had been his previous life, it would have been enough to make him want to die from memorizing them. Fortunately, his memory in this life was extremely strong. He only needed to memorize it 2 or 3 times before he could remember it. He continued to memorize it over and over again. He wanted to memorize this list so that if he saw a material that he needed, he could recall it without thinking. He abruptly raised his head and saw Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. They were all craning their necks to the side, their faces filled with curiosity. Lei Xingfeng said in fright, "Hey, what are you doing? You're going to scare me to death if you get so close." Jean Dia asked curiously, "A phone, what are you doing? You're mumbling something." Lei Xingfeng sighed and said, "Memorizing a book." Jean Dia was taken aback. He asked, "What book?" Lei Xingfeng bitterly smiled. "I've already gotten the list of materials that I need to prepare before I become a monarch. I need to memorize it." Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were pleasantly surprised. If Lei Xingfeng could become a monarch, all of them would benefit. However, Lei Xingfeng was only an 8th ring true sage, and he was already preparing the materials to become a monarch. This was very scary. Mad Eagle couldn't help but sigh. Comparing people. How can we compare? Tiger Love was also very emotional. He said, "When I first saw Feng, he was still a low-stage true sage. He's about to become a monarch. This speed, TSK, how hateful." Lei Xingfeng said, "Why are you all so emotional? This time, Junior Marshal Uncle is opening the secret door. We'll go to the new world outside. It's very dangerous. You all need to be prepared." Jean Dia said, "Don't worry, Feng. We won't embarrass you." Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "It's okay if I embarrass myself. I just hope that we can return as many people as we go. It's okay if we don't get much, but it's not worth it if we get injured." Jean Dia said, "This is just the ideal situation." "I hope so too." He was a bit moved. He didn't know that Exine Feng had a lot of respect for human life in his past life, unlike in this world where life was always in danger. Just like how Jean Dia had seen Tian Kwa kill 20 true masters with a single slap, and they were all his subordinates, he was so cruel and ruthless that even as an enemy, he was shocked. Mad Eagle smiled. "Don't worry, it's not that easy to kill us." Tiger Love said, "With so many experts going, there's no need to be afraid of danger. If we really meet a powerful expert, there'll naturally be someone even more powerful to deal with. We just need to pay attention to our own safety." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "This time, Fatty will go as well. Uncle Jean, you'll be in charge of looking after him. He's too weak after all." Jean Dia said, "I understand. This is an opportunity for him, and also a test. I'll look after him. I hope he can work hard. This is a rare opportunity. I'll let him know." 10 days later, Feng Qinzong sent people to invite Lei Xingfeng and the others over. In Feng Qinzong's residence, a building specifically for building the secret door had already been built. All of Gucci's direct descendants rushed over to Feng Qinzong's residence. When Yuko saw Lei Xingfeng, he began to complain loudly. Feng, this time, Junior Marshal Uncle chose you to go with him. Sai, we can only watch." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Eldest senior brother, this has nothing to do with me." What he meant was, go complain to Junior Marshal Uncle. Don't complain to me. Exegeluin said, "Junior Marshal Uncle specifically asked Feng to go. If you want to go ask Junior Marshal Uncle." Yuko said, "Do I dare?" Really? He really wanted to go. This was a newly open world. Who knew what was inside? Perhaps there were countless resources. Even a little bit would make him rich. A large group of people arrived at the large room where the secret door was set up. When Lei Xingfeng entered, he discovered that the room was extremely large. It was 90 meters long and 90 meters wide. There were 18 pillars, and in the middle was a raised platform. On top of that was the secret door set up by Feng Shenzong. Feng Shenzong was making final adjustments on the platform. Wu Yang and Gucci were giving pointers, fixing any areas that they weren't satisfied with. This time, they didn't invite any outsiders. They were all family. Soon, Feng Shenzong finished adjusting and got off the platform. He smiled. This time, I invite everyone to take a look at the secret door. In the future, when you become monarchs, you will have to go through this step. Even if you don't understand anything now, you will at least be able to leave some impression. And this time, I invited a Feng to enter the secret door with me. You will all have a chance to go in the future. Gucci said, "All right, junior brother, you don't need to explain. Let me say this, going is dangerous. If you don't go, don't be depressed. There will be plenty of opportunities. After all, Feng Shenzong is your junior martial uncle. We are all family." Wu Yang said, "All right, those who are going, get on the platform. Everyone else, retreat behind the pillars." Yuko muttered and unwillingly retreated. Xi and Jiaoluan smiled and led his junior brothers and sisters behind the pillars. The three masters, Wu Yang, Gucci, and Feng Shenzong, were the leaders. There was also a small team of 9 monarchs. Finally, there was Lei Xingfeng's group. There were 5 people in total. Altogether, the team had 17 people. Chapter 250. Feng Shenzong inspected the door again. There were already hundreds of rings embedded in it. He nodded. "Senior brother, there shouldn't be any problems. Please inspect it." Gucci helped inspect the door. "Master, please take a look. There couldn't be any mistakes at this time." Weon also inspected the door from the front to the back. After checking it over and over again, he said, "This step is very important. You must be very careful and meticulous. You can't make any mistakes. If the secret door is activated and you fail to capture your only outer world, you will only be able to use it as a door in the future." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. Using it as a door? But this door was also very ordinary. It was a door that could lead to the outside world. As long as you knew the coordinates, you could open the door and go there. This kind of door, even if it didn't come with an address, was worth having. Wu Yang clapped his hands. "There are no problems. Feng Shenzong, you can start it now?" Feng Shenzong nodded. "I hope I have good luck." Then he glanced at Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng smiled at him. In an instant, the door emitted a golden light. Feng Shenzong stood in front of the door and carefully sensed it. Gradually, a smile appeared on his face. There it is. There's a location. If he didn't say the coordinates, even Wu Yang wouldn't be able to tell where it was. Of course, if Wu Yang and Gucci followed him into the outside world, then this location would no longer be a secret. They had their own secret door. As long as they went there, they would be able to obtain the new coordinates. So the more they went, the more locations they would obtain. This was only limited to cultivators above Monarch. Lei Xingfeng and the others wouldn't be able to obtain the location because they didn't have a secret door. This was also the benefit of Wu Yang and Gucci. They were the first batch of people to benefit from the new outer world that they had nurtured. This was also the reason why these experts worked so hard to nurture their disciples. This intangible benefit was the motivation for them to nurture their disciples. Lei Xingfeng was quite surprised and impressed by this natural chain of interests. Just like low-level cultivators, once they realized that they could not advance to the higher levels, they would immediately find a place to live in seclusion and cultivate the next generation of cultivators. At the same time, they would pass down the culture of cultivators. The reason why the writing and language of this world were similar was because of the cultivators. On the other hand, high-level cultivators had another set of benefits. The higher the level of a cultivator, the more resources they would need. If they relied on their own strength, it would be impossible for them to gather everything they needed. Only by nurturing the next generation, forming a force, and then plundering the outside world would they be able to satisfy their needs. The golden light dissipated bit by bit. Feng Shenzong waved his hand and opened the door. "All right, let's go in." 17 people quickly passed through the door. Lei Xingfeng's group of 5 followed. It was no different from walking through a door, but the inside and outside of the door were two different worlds. When the door behind them disappeared, the 17 people were faced with a whole new world. Lei Xingfeng's first impression of this world was excellent. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed. It was a green world. There was a green meadow, and not far away was a lush forest. The meadow was blooming with flowers. There were clusters of purple, yellow, white, and red flowers. Some were as big as a bowl, while others were like stars in the sky. When the wind blew, a delicate fragrance filled the air. A few butterflies danced on the meadow. They were very beautiful butterflies with long ribbons. They looked like fairies as they flew by. Everyone was mesmerized by the beautiful scenery. After a while, Lei Xingfeng said, "What a beautiful place." He looked back and saw a clear stream flowing through the meadow. Wu Yang said, "At least it's not a barren place. This place is even more beautiful than the hidden space. I just don't know what's here." Feng Qinzong seemed very satisfied. "It's a very good place. We'll have to slowly excavate this place." He believed that with this outside world, he would be able to find enough to compensate for the cost of his advancement. Gucci said, "I hope there aren't any natives here." Lei Xingfeng said, "That's hard to say. If there are natives, I hope they aren't too strong." Wu Yang laughed. "Don't think about it. We'll see when we find them." "Ha! I just hope that there are mines and resources here. I can't see anything yet, but the environment here is really good. It's suitable for living." Feng Qinzong said, "Let's set up a small camp here. We'll have to bring people here in the future." Lei Xingfeng said, "Junior uncle, without hundreds of years of development, it's impossible to know how many resources there are here. The outer world was huge, and many people would have to work hard to search for resources. Therefore, their mission upon entering the outer world was to first observe whether there were any dangers or powerful enemies. This included all kinds of wild beasts, all kinds of unknown and deadly insects, as well as the local natives. Generally speaking, when one had just arrived in a new place, searching for resources was not an urgent mission. Of the 9 ninth ring sages brought in, 3 of them had already started working. They each took out materials and tools from their hidden space and quickly built wooden houses. They were all pre-made parts and could be put together quickly. In just half an hour, the camp was almost finished. There were 6 wooden houses, a fence, and a wooden shelter for everyone to move around in. A large stove was set up in the wooden shelter. This was Jean Depang's place of work. If there was no one to guide him, he could only move around in the camp. Wu Yang said, "Today, 3 people will stay behind to guard the camp. Well, except for Little Fatty. He must stay behind to cook. The other 3 will stay behind. Just the 3 of you." Jean Depang and the 3 ninth ring sages agreed. There was no bargaining here. As the ancestor, Wu Yang's words were equivalent to an imperial edict. Wu Yang said, "The rest of you will set off in groups. I will take one direction, Gucci will take another, Feng Qinzong will take another, and Feng will take another. After exploring about 100 miles, come back immediately and we'll discuss the next step." Xian Feng was in charge of the north. He still brought Jin Dia, Feng Ying, and Shihu with him. He didn't bring anyone else. Due to the lack of time, as soon as he heard the order, he immediately brought the 3 of them to the north. Jin Dia was very excited. He had heard of such a thing in the past, which was wasteland exploration. It was said that the benefits of wasteland exploration were many times greater than those of other outer worlds. If one was lucky enough to encounter an outer world that was rich in resources, they would be able to make a fortune in just one trip. As they flew, Lei Xingfeng said in surprise, "There are no traces of humans here. I can't see any traces of humans. Maybe there are no natives in this world." Whether it was streams, rivers, lakes, grasslands, or forests, they were all in a primitive state. There were many animals on the ground, such as wild horses, bison, large antlers, beautiful deer, pheasants, ducks, flocks of birds, and fierce wolves, tigers, leopards, and bears. Lei Xingfeng even saw a few crocodiles. There were also some unknown beasts and animals that Lei Xingfeng had never seen before. There are no tall mountains here, only a few gentle hills. Lei Xingfeng said, "This place is definitely suitable for people to live." Jean Dia said, "Look." A large herd of bison galloped over. There were more than 1,000 of them, forming a black mass. Looking from the sky, they looked like a black flood rolling across the grassland. Lei Xingfeng immediately saw that behind the herd of bison was a pack of wolves. There were more than 500 wolves chasing after them. Soon, the old and weak in the herd of bison were left behind. They were quickly cut off by the wolves. 80 to 90 bison were separated by the wolves, and a bloody feast began. The bison moved in despair. One by one, the bison were pushed down. Every bison had more than 5 wolves. They tore at it with big mouths. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 hovered above, watching this thrilling massacre. Jean Dia was full of praise. He said, "This pack of wolves is amazing. They even know how to divide and surround." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Only a few of the cut-down bison escaped. The rest were all bitten. Hee, this can be considered a killing feast." Mad Eagle said, "There's plenty of food here. I wonder if there are any particularly fierce beasts." Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, "I don't think so. Everyone knows that only extreme environments can produce extremely fierce beasts. Even star beasts can be produced. For example, in the Great Stone Field, only such an extreme environment can produce stone star beasts. It's probably difficult to produce similar star beasts here." Before his voice died away, a bolt of lightning fell from the sky. With a crackling sound, a black wolf fell to the ground, twitching all over. Jean Dia turned around in surprise. When he saw Lei Xingfeng's surprised look, he immediately knew that it wasn't him who did it. Then, the 4 of them found out the truth. It was a 1-foot-long blackbird. It actually shot out bolts of lightning from its beak and struck the wolves. In a moment, it knocked down 7 or 8 wolves, causing the wolf pack to be in chaos. Lei Xingfeng stared at the arrogant blackbird. This was the first time he saw an animal with lightning attribute. Wolves were the most tenacious. After being knocked down by the blackbird, the wolves twitched for a moment and gradually woke up. One by one, they held threateningly at the sky. The blackbird hovered in the air and suddenly said, "Call your mother." Lei Xingfeng's body trembled and directly fell from the air for more than 10 meters before he could stabilize his body. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were also dumbfounded. This blackbird could actually talk. Its words were clear and accurate. Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 were all high-level true masters. Their ears couldn't have misheard. Bang! Another bolt of lightning, but this one was even smaller. It couldn't even knock down a wolf. It just interrupted the howling of a wolf. The blackbird cursed again. "Damn it!" Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Catch it!" and rushed toward the blackbird. Chapter 251. Although the blackbird's attack power wasn't too high, it flew very fast. When it saw Lei Xingfeng and the other 3 flying over, it couldn't help but scream, "Oh my God! Where did this birdman come from?" Whoosh! A black shadow flashed, and in an instant, it was 100 meters away. Lei Xingfeng was furious. "You're the birdman." The blackbird screeched, "I'm a bird, not a birdman. I'm a bird that can fly. You're a birdman that can fly." By the time the last sentence was heard, the blackbird had already disappeared without a trace. Its speed wasn't something Lei Xingfeng could compare to. It was too fast like lightning. Jean Dia was both surprised and amused. "Feng, what was that thing? How could it talk?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. Being scolded by a blackbird was strange. "I don't understand. This blackbird seems to be very intelligent." Mad Eagle said, "It's just a blackbird. It's nothing special." Lei Xingfeng said, "No, this blackbird has the lightning attribute. I wanted to catch it and study it. I didn't expect it to actually be able to talk. It's amazing." His mind was full of that blackbird. "I will definitely catch you." Tiger Love said, "Let's hurry. We're already a bit late." The 4 continued to fly forward. 100 miles passed quickly. Lei Xingfeng said, "I didn't find anything. It's all animals. There are no traces of humans. All right, the biggest gain is that blackbird. Let's go back first." When Lei Xingfeng and the other three returned to the camp, the others had already returned. Feng Qinzong saw Lei Xingfeng land and smiled. "Feng, what did you find?" Lei Xingfeng said, "A little." Feng Qinzong's face suddenly revealed a look of anticipation. "What did you find?" Lei Xingfeng said, "A black bird that can talk." Feng Qinzong nodded. "Oh, what? A bird that could talk? What do you mean?" He was dumbfounded. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Literally, I found a black bird that can curse people and emit lightning." Wu Yang and Gucci walked over and just happened to hear Lei Xingfeng's words. Both of them looked surprised. Wu Yang said, "He knows how to curse? Black bird?" Gucci asked, "Did you catch him?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, "That black bird's flying speed is frightening. We couldn't catch up to it all. It ran away." Wu Yang, Gucci, and Feng Qinzong finally confirmed that Lei Xingfeng was indeed talking about a bird. Wu Yang couldn't help but bitterly smile. "That's weird. This is the first time I've heard of a bird scolding people." Gucci said, "Is it a pet? That's why I can talk." Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't know. I didn't find any traces of humans. Did you find anything?" Feng Qinzong said, "We didn't find any traces of humans. The plants here are lush. I saw a lot of rare plants and collected a few. Your little sister's hidden sect should like it. Haha, but I don't plan on inviting them for now." Lei Xingfeng said, "I'll bring my little sister here in the future. That shouldn't be a problem, right?" Feng Qinzong nodded. "That shouldn't be a problem. Cultivators below monarch level shouldn't be a problem. He definitely wouldn't invite cultivators above monarch level. That would reveal the coordinates of this world." Lei Xingfeng knew it was because of his martial uncle's care. He smiled and said, "Thank you very much." Gucci was very interested in the blackbird that could talk. He said, "If there's a chance, don't let that blackbird escape. Try to catch it alive." Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's see if there's a chance. I also want to catch it. A bird that can talk. Ha, how strange." Wu Yang pondered for a moment. He said, "Don't kill it. If you can't catch it, then forget it. Try not to hurt it." Gucci asked why. Wu Yang said, "I feel that this black bird isn't simple." Jean DePang shouted from the wooden hut in the camp, "Time to eat." Everyone came to the wooden hut and sat down. It was a long table, long benches, and the most simple furniture. It was the most difficult environment, but because of Jean DePang, they also had the most delicious food. Due to the small number of people, each person was given a large wooden basin of red braised meat and a basin of rice. It was a very simple red braised meat over rice and a basin of vegetable soup. Once it was done, it was done. It looked extremely simple, but whether it was the red braised meat over rice, the taste was absolutely amazing. Many people who tasted Jean DePang's cooking for the first time couldn't stop praising it. Everyone gathered around the long table, talking about their discoveries as they ate. "I found a very large copper mine. If the hidden door wants to send people here, this mine should be very useful. The plants here are too dense. If you want to observe from the air, you won't be able to see any signs of the mine. It needs to be explored bit by bit. It's not easy to find. The food here is very plentiful. Hunting can feed many people. I found a lot of rare plants that can be used to make medicine. Unfortunately, I don't have time to continue searching." Lei Xingfeng listened carefully. There were all kinds of discussions, but he didn't find anything special. However, Lei Xingfeng could tell that everyone was very satisfied with this outside world. Lei Xingfeng didn't understand. "There's nothing special here, other than finding a blackbird. Why does everyone seem so happy?" Feng Qinzong was right next to him. Feng, do you think that after opening the hidden door, you'll find all kinds of rare materials and treasures? That's a good place." Lei Xingfeng nodded furiously. "Of course. If this isn't good, what kind of good is it?" Feng Qinzong laughed. "That's not an outside world. That's the birth of an ancient hidden Luin space." Lei Xingfeng was speechless. Feng Qinzong's words really did sound like the birth of an ancient hidden Luin space. Otherwise, where would there be so many treasures? Feng Qinzong said, "An outside world, a good outside world needs to be habitable. Then, it needs to be suitable for producing all kinds of food. As for treasures, haha, that needs to be slowly searched. You know, an outside world is huge, without enough people to search and excavate. How do you know there are treasures? Lei Xingfeng finally understood. You mean you want to send a large number of people here? But, how many yin rings will that cost? Feng Qinzong was amused. A Feng, you don't understand the benefits of a monarch opening the hidden door for the first time. The first time you open the hidden door and discover an outside world, you do need a lot of yin rings. But the next time, you only need a few yin rings. How few can you get? With just one yin ring, you can send people in up to 100 at a time. This kind of low cost is the right of the monarch who discovered this outside world. Do you understand now? Lei Xingfeng smiled. So that's how it is. In other words, only you have the right to bring a large number of people in. Of course, they'll all be your people. Whatever they find will belong to you. That's a good benefit. Feng Qinzong said, you should know that when I became a monarch, I owe a lot of yin rings. I'm counting on this outside world to pay off my debts. When you become a monarch, you'll understand how big this debt is. Haha, it's enough to make you complain to the heavens. Lei Xingfeng said, no matter how big the debt is, as long as I can successfully ascend, it's not a problem. Feng Qinzong sighed. If you're not a true friend, you won't be willing to borrow money, especially when it comes to ascending to monarch. Lei Xingfeng understood. Yeah, if you can't pass, you'll die without any debts. Everything has to be built on the success of your ascension. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot. Feng Qinzong said, that's why this outside world is already very good. Think about it. If you were drawn into the outside world, you would find a place like the Great Stone Field. There's nothing but stone eggs everywhere. You don't even know what's inside the stone eggs. If you open hundreds or thousands of them and find that they're all stones, how desperate would you be? And that's not all. If you find a stone star beast, wouldn't you be desperate? Lei Xingfeng thought about the extreme atmosphere of the Great Stone Field. The weather was extremely hot. There was no water, no plants, and stone eggs everywhere. It was indeed despairing. Looking at it this way, this place was indeed very good. He nodded. Yeah, no matter who it is, if they open the secret door and see stone eggs everywhere, they'll probably go crazy. Gucci said, that's not rare. I once had a friend who opened the secret door for the first time. As soon as he stepped in, he fell into a kind of sticky black water. He couldn't find any air and almost suffocated to death. If it wasn't for the fact that he was already a monarch and had great strength, he might have really died there. In the end, he had no choice but to retreat. That place was completely ruined. Lei Xingfeng said, isn't that a big loss? Wu Yang said, a loss? What loss? If you can ascend to monarch, you won't lose anything. Those who died are the ones who really lost. Lei Xingfeng laughed. That's true. If you die, there's nothing left. Gucci said, tell me about that blackbird. I'm very curious. Lei Xingfeng briefly recounted his encounter with the blackbird, which immediately aroused everyone's interest. Who had ever seen a blackbird with a mouth full of vulgarities? And it was obvious that this blackbird wasn't unfamiliar with humans. Then it was very likely that there were humans in this world. It was just that they hadn't discovered them yet. Wu Yang muttered, Birdman? Birdman. Interesting. Gucci said, let's not talk about this blackbird for now. Shitty, you can recruit another group of people tomorrow. Oh, right, you've also ascended to monarch. You can start recruiting disciples. Feng Qinzong nodded. There's no rush to recruit disciples. Wait until I settle down. Right now, I'm about to die of poverty. Lei Xingfeng's mind was filled with the blackbird. He didn't care about what others said. He only thought about how to see that blackbird again and catch it. This bird always gave him a strange feeling. Only by catching it could he understand. Perhaps there were some secrets. Chapter 252. This was Feng Qinzong's first mission. In the hidden sect, only monarchs could issue large-scale missions that the entire hidden sect could participate in. The direct disciples could issue small missions. The hidden sect's mission was to organize a group to participate in a certain task and gather the power of the entire hidden sect to solve a certain problem. Lei Xingfeng also had a group of subordinates, but it wasn't a large group. Even so, many of them joined Feng Qinzong's large mission under the organization of a channel. This large-scale mission was to develop a new world. This was a large-scale mission that even ordinary people could participate in. Lei Xingfeng's housekeeper, Ishannel, picked out about 700 people, half of which were cultivators, and sent them directly into the new world. Every disciple brought a large group of people, from hundred-will cultivators to ninth ring sages and many ordinary people. Of course, these ordinary people were all young and strong. The entire exploration range had expanded to 1,000 li, but they still hadn't found any traces of anyone. The living resources here were extremely developed, and all kinds of animals and plants were abnormally abundant. Lei Xingfeng's subordinates also received a large piece of land to develop. The benefit of participating in this mission was that they could receive half of the rewards. Of course, this reward was mainly for the resources needed by the cultivators. The other things didn't matter. Lei Xingfeng's attention was always on the blackbird. He had searched for a few days, but he still hadn't found the strange blackbird. This made him very anxious. He didn't know why, but he felt that the blackbird had a lot of secrets. He wanted to catch it. Lei Xingfeng's subordinates ran a small town. The entire town was filled with his people, including many guards, low-level cultivators, and ordinary people. Lei Xingfeng, Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were still exploring outside. They had already run about 2,000 li. There were no Luan spots or ancient Luan passages here. They all relied on flying. Due to the lush vegetation and many animals, Lei Xingfeng and the others often hunted animals to eat. So far, Lei Xingfeng and the others had not encountered any danger. As for the wild beasts on the ground, they were not a threat to them. Even so, Lei Xingfeng also found a few mineral deposits. They were all very ordinary minerals, such as gold, iron, copper, and so on. There was nothing special about them that was worth developing. They found quite a few rare plants, mainly plants used to produce medicine. As long as he saw Lei Xingfeng, he would collect them because he could give them to Lei Xingyao. His little sister's sect specialized in medicine. The four of them rested by a river. Lei Xingfeng looked at the clear water and sighed in his heart. The scenery here was beautiful, and the plants were dense. With one look, one could tell that it was completely natural. The fish in the river were not afraid of people at all. He could directly catch a big fish from the river with his bare hands. The bottom of the river was filled with dense aquatic plants. As the water rippled, all kinds of fish and prawns swam in the water. Some of the fish were even terrifyingly big. He saw a few huge fish swimming in the river. Their bodies were at least 2 to 3 meters long. There were also all kinds of waterfowl playing in the water. Lei Xingfeng sighed and said, "We won't starve to death here." Jean Dia laughed and said, "A Feng, there's a leopard on the tree behind you. It seems to have its eyes on you." Lei Xingfeng looked up and saw a leopard's head peeking out from between the branches. Its 2 eyes stared straight at Lei Xingfeng. Mad Eagle laughed and said, "This leopard is going to be unlucky." Just as he finished speaking, the leopard silently pounced down. Its target was Lei Xingfeng's neck. Lei Xingfeng laughed and scolded, "Beast!" With a wave of his hand, a bolt of lightning shot out and instantly deflected the leopard. The leopard fell to the ground and twitched violently. The feeling of being electrocuted was not good. After trembling for a long time, the leopard finally felt better. It whimpered and fled into the distance. It probably wouldn't dare to pounce on people again in this life. Jean Dia laughed and said, "Why didn't you kill it?" Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "I'm not hungry. Why would I kill it?" Mad Eagle said, "We haven't found any valuable ores yet. Where are we going to find them?" Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Let's try our luck. We're not familiar with this place." An eagle's cry was heard. Tiger Love pointed to the sky and said, "Look, is that the blackbird?" Lei Xingfeng said, "That's an eagle's cry, not a blackbird." As he spoke, he looked up and was stunned. He saw a golden eagle circling in the sky as fast as lightning. In front of it, a black shadow was frantically fleeing. Mad Eagle said in surprise, "Hey, it's really that blackbird." Lei Xingfeng was already flying. He said, "Follow it, follow it. This time, no matter what, we can't let it escape." A golden shadow and a black shadow circled crazily in the sky. Then, Lei Xingfeng heard the blackbird's cry. "Damn stupid bird. Why are you chasing me? You're so annoying. Ah, quack quack. Stupid bird. You've angered me." The golden eagle suddenly sped up. Whoosh! Its claws grabbed the blackbird. The blackbird screamed, "Oh my God, it's so scary." The black shadow's body flashed with silver light. In an instant, it was 100 meters away. Lei Xingfeng praised, "This speed, TSK, TSK, amazing." Crackle! A bolt of lightning struck. The golden eagle's body stiffened. Fortunately, the golden eagle could glide as long as it spread its wings. It would not be shot down by a bolt of lightning. However, it was obvious that the golden eagle was extremely angry. With a sharp eagle cry, it pounced on the blackbird again. The blackbird had already escaped for some distance. This blackbird's speed could make Lei Xingfeng admire it, but the golden eagle was still able to catch up with it. "Damn it, it's endless, stupid bird, why don't you die? Oh my God, almost so close. So close." Lei Xingfeng and the other three chased desperately, and then listened to the blackbird's nonsense. The blackbird happened to look back, and suddenly saw Lei Xingfeng and the others. It shouted, "Wow, Birdman! Damn it, Birdman is here too. This is bad, run, run." Lei Xingfeng and the other three didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This blackbird's mouth was really poisonous. The golden eagle didn't know why, but it stared at the blackbird and chased after it. Lei Xingfeng and the other three chased after it and felt very tired. These two feathered beasts were too fast. Although the blackbird had a strange speed and a rather terrifying lightning instinct, it was still a bit weak. It couldn't compare to the golden eagle and was chased to the extreme. Rolling over, the two birds quickly decided the winner. The blackbird was fiercely scratched by the golden eagle. Its wings were injured and it fell from the sky. The blackbird's scream resounded through the earth. "It's over. Damn it, I'm finished. Oh my God, I'm going to fall to my death." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. When it was still 100 meters away, Lei Xingfeng sent out a bolt of lightning, slashing down like lightning towards the golden eagle. The golden eagle was shocked and let out a cry. Its body nimbly flipped in the air and instantly dodged the lightning. However, it was also afraid. This lightning was different from the blackbird's and gave it an extremely dangerous feeling. The beast's perception was quite sharp. When it realized that something was wrong, it immediately fled into the distance. Oh my God! It fell into the water. Plop! The blackbird fell into the water. Lei Xingfeng was overjoyed and secretly said, "Let's see where you can escape to." He quickly swept across the water and picked up the blackbird that was still struggling. Let me go, you birdman." Lei Xingfeng grabbed the blackbird and flew to the shore with a smile. The blackbird struggled desperately. Jindai laughed. "I caught it, hee hee. My luck is not bad." The blackbird said snappily, "My luck is F***king bad. Too bad. I'm so unlucky." Jindai was stunned for a moment before laughing out loud. He said, "This bird is about to become a spirit. It can talk even more than me." The blackbird shouted, "Hey, birdman, let me go. Let me go. Ouch, my wings hurt. Don't pinch my wings. Birdman." Lei Xingfeng sneered and said, "If you say birdman again, I'll pull out all the black feathers on your body." The blackbird gave a quack and immediately shut up. Lei Xingfeng sat down and said, "Tell me, who are you?" The blackbird said, "I'm not a person. I'm a bird." Jindai, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all laughed. Lei Xingfeng was also careless. Because he had asked and answered questions with the other party, it was easy to confuse him with a person. The other party was not a bird. The blackbird said, "My wings hurt." "Let go." Lei Xingfeng said, "What kind of bird are you?" The blackbird was very disdainful and said, "Idiot, can't you see? I'm a blackbird." Jindai and the other two had just stopped laughing, but when they heard this, they laughed again. Lei Xingfeng meant to ask why this bird could speak, but when he asked anxiously, he said what kind of bird you are. In the end, He was despised by a blackbird. Lei Xingfeng held back his laughter and deliberately said fiercely, "Yo, your mouth is quite hard. You dare to call me an idiot?" He. The blackbird said in horror, "You, what are you doing? Let me go. Hooligan." Jean Dia laughed wildly, slapped the ground hard, and said, "I'm gonna die, huh? Ha ha. This blackbird is too funny. It actually knows how to be a hooligan. Ha 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 ha." Mad Eagle laughed until tears were about to fall. Tiger Love pointed at the blackbird and stammered, This is still... Is it still a bird?" "Ha ha ha." The blackbird said, "It's a real bird." Lei Xingfeng could no longer control himself and laughed wildly, saying, "Ha ha, blackbird. Ha ha, hooligan. Ha ha, you are too funny." The blackbird said, "It's not fun. Those who play with birds are not good people." Poochie. Ha ha ha. The four of them laughed until their eyes were filled with tears. They had never been so happy before. Lei Xingfeng actually liked this nonsense blackbird. Lei Xingfeng took out a potion and said, "Drink it." The blackbird said in fear, No, you can't give me random things to drink. Do you want to poison me?" Chapter 253. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "If I want to kill you, I can just use a little strength and pinch you to death. As for the trouble of using poison, you're just a stupid bird." The blackbird suddenly became angry and said, "You're stupid. I'm as smart as blackbird. Invincible intelligence. Ga. Lei Xingfeng pinched open the blackbird's mouth and poured the potion down. He said, "If you're smart, you should be obedient when you fall into my hands." The blackbird was choked and rolled its eyes. After a while, it shook its little head and said, "Ga, it's really disgusting." Jean Dia asked curiously, "Hey, are you male or female?" As he said that, he reached out to lift the blackbird's tail. The blackbird shouted, "Gee, ayaya, hooligan, don't move. I don't want to live anymore. I hate it." Before Jean Dia's fingers touched the blackbird, a series of shouts came out. Everyone looked at it with their mouths agape. Lei Xingfeng said, "You're a female?" The blackbird said, "What, male or female? It's really unpleasant to hear." Lei Xingfeng said, "Tell me, how do you know how to speak? Who did you learn from?" He was really curious. The blackbird said, "I don't know." Lei Xingfeng was suddenly flustered and exasperated. He said, "You don't know? Or you don't want to say it?" The blackbird said, "I really don't know. I don't know." Lei Xingfeng smacked his lips and said, "Uncle Gene, I haven't eaten barbecue for a long time. I wonder how the barbecue blackbird meat tastes." The blackbird let out a cry of surprise. "Wow, Ga, you can't. My meat isn't delicious at all. Sour, bitter, Ga smelly." Jean Dia couldn't help but shake his head. This blackbird was really smart. He said, "Since you don't want to be eaten, then tell the truth." The blackbird cried out, "Damn it, I'm telling the truth. Ga, why don't you believe me?" Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment and said, "How old are you?" The blackbird asked doubtfully, "What do you mean?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I mean, how long have you lived? Isn't he very old?" The blackbird's little head kept nodding and said, "Very big. This bird is very big." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. His words could easily be misunderstood. He said, "Well, are you familiar with this place?" Blackbird said proudly, "Of course. This place is my territory. Of course I'm familiar with it." Lei Xingfeng's eyes lit up as he asked, "Is there anything good?" The blackbird suddenly found that its wings were no longer painful. It said, "Ga, the wings have grown? Ayaya, don't shake me." Lei Xingfeng said, "Don't interrupt. Tell me, what's the good stuff here?" The blackbird said, "Ga, caw, was a good thing." Suddenly, everyone was speechless. Lei Xingfeng thought about it. It was indeed a strange thing to ask a bird what good things it had. He was sure that the blackbird didn't care about what he thought was good, and what the blackbird thought was good, he might not think it was good. Lei Xingfeng said, "Forget it, it's useless to ask you." He was already bored. Because he didn't know anything, his interest in the blackbird greatly decreased. The blackbird had a pair of very beautiful red eyes. Its eyes rolled around, and its little head swayed. No one knew what it was thinking. Lei Xingfeng let go of his hand and said, "Well, you can go. Remember, there will be a lot of people here in the future. Don't talk nonsense. If you get killed, it will be too late to regret it." The blackbird jumped a few times on the ground and tried to fly, but its wings had just healed and it couldn't use its strength. It fluttered a few times and didn't fly. It said, "Damn, I can't fly for the time being. I was injured by that stupid bird." Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Why don't you eat something before you go?" The blackbird said, "Food? What kind of bird food can you have?" Caw! Its tone was really disdainful. Lei Xingfeng took out a piece of beef jerky, which was made by Jean Depan. He tore off a piece and said, "Beef jerky, a specialty of my hometown. Do you want to try it?" The blackbird smelled the fragrance of the meat, rolled its eyes, and said, "Caw, I'll try it." It pecked the meat, shook its head, and swallowed it. It said more and more, "Delicious, delicious." Lei Xingfeng tore off a few pieces of beef jerky with a smile. Soon, the jerky in his hand was eaten up by it. The wound on its wings was cured by the medicine, and there was beef jerky in its stomach. The blackbird was satisfied. It spread its wings and flew into the air. It said, "I'm leaving. You are a good birdman." A black shadow flashed, and the guy disappeared without a trace. Lei Xingfeng was angry and scolded. "Bastard, scolding people after eating and drinking." Jean Dia laughed and said, "Why did you let it go?" Lei Xingfeng said, "It's troublesome to take it with us. Besides, this blackbird's mouth is too smelly. It talks nonsense and causes trouble. I'm not interested in taking it with us." Mad Eagle said, "What a pity, a blackbird that can talk." Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't want to hurt the blackbird because it is also of the thunder attribute." Tiger Love said, "I don't know if there is only one blackbird that can talk, or if there is a group of them. If there is a group, haha, it will be lively." Lei Xingfeng said, "Oh, I forgot to ask." Jean Dia said, "This blackbird is not very honest. Its words are a bit untruthful." Lei Xingfeng said, "Forget it, it's just a bird. What else can it do? Let's go." A few days later, the four of them advanced to a sea area. Lei Xingfeng tasted the water and knew that this was the sea, not a large lake. The water was salty. The endless sea, the water was clear and green, and there were large areas of beach. Lei Xingfeng said, "Good place." Jean Dia pointed to the sea not far away. Two small black dots were constantly entangled. Lei Xingfeng stared and could not help but be surprised. Why are these two birds again? The golden eagle and the blackbird were entangled in the air. The sound of eagle cries and curses could be faintly heard. They could not hear what the curses were, but they could hear the two words, "damn it." Because the blackbird's voice was very sharp, these two words were particularly clear. In a moment, the two birds flew over the crowd. The blackbird's curses were extremely clear. "I'll kill you. Damn it, you stupid bird." An eagle cry was heard as an answer. "Stupid bird. Damn it. Who told you to stretch your claws?" Lei Xingfeng said with a wry smile, "This guy's mouth is really smelly. I don't know if the golden eagle can understand. If it can understand, it will probably be angered to death." Jean Dia said, "The strength of this blackbird is weaker than the golden eagle. I'm curious. Why does it keep entangling?" The blackbird above shouted, "I don't want to entangle with the stupid bird. It's the stupid bird that won't let it go. Damn it, I'm so annoyed." Lei Xingfeng tilted his head and laughed. "Did you hear that? It actually has the strength to explain." Tiger Love curled his lips and said, "This bird is a chatterbox." Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "Yes, it's a chatterbox. It's uncomfortable if you don't talk, ha." The black bird shouted, "Hey, help. What are you all standing there for?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "It's none of my business. Why should I help you?" The black bird let out a strange cry and slipped under the claws of the golden eagle. It cried, G-A-G-A. "What do you mean? I thought we were friends. Why don't you help if we're friends?" Lei Xingfeng was stunned by this strange blackbird. "Friends with a blackbird? Friends with a bird? Are you kidding?" Jean Dia said, "You and a Feng are friends. How come I don't know?" The blackbird cried, "You know shit." He caught it and touched it. "How can we not be friends? Hurry up and help." If you don't come, I'll be beaten out of my pants. Lei Xingfeng said, this bird is amazing. The black bird said, how do you know my name? Lei Xingfeng said, how do I know your name? The black bird said, you said it. You said my name. My name is Birdbeard. Lei Xingfeng said, what the F asterisk CK? Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were all stunned and then burst into laughter. The blackbird's cry became more and more urgent. Lei Xingfeng said, if I don't save you, you'll become eagle shit. The blackbird said, don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and save Birdbeard. Lei Xingfeng flew up. In fact, the golden eagle had already noticed Lei Xingfeng and the other three, but seeing that they didn't move, it attacked the blackbird desperately, trying to kill the blackbird before the four people interfered. So when it saw Lei Xingfeng fly up, it immediately turned around and flew away quickly. The blackbird fell from the sky, and he shouted, quickly catch me. I'm exhausted. Lei Xingfeng reached out and grabbed it, then slowly landed on the ground. The blackbird's small chest kept rising and falling. Its breathing was like a bellows, and its two small claws kept trembling. It complained again and again, damn, I'm so tired, so tired. I'm so tired that I'm going to shit. Damn, that stupid bird, stupid bird. Lei Xingfeng said, can that stupid bird understand you? The blackbird said, it doesn't know shit. If it could understand, it wouldn't be a stupid bird. You stubborn, stupid bird. Lei Xingfeng said, Birdbeard, how many blackbirds like you are there? The blackbird said, I'm a unique Birdbeard. There's no second one in this world. Lei Xingfeng didn't believe it at all. He said, nonsense. Did you jump out of a stone? It could be seen that the blackbird was a little confused. It said, how would I know? I've never seen a bird like this in my life. Of course, it's the unique Birdbeard. Lei Xingfeng vaguely felt that this blackbird had an extraordinary origin, but it didn't seem to know anything. Jean Dia shook his head and said, what a strange bird. Lei Xingfeng said, well, you're the unique Birdbeard. That golden eagle is gone, so you can fly. The Birdbeard shook its small head and stared at Lei Xingfeng with its red eyes. Lei Xingfeng said, what are you looking at? Do you want to risk something bad? Chapter 254. Birdbeard said, bah, who's up to no good? Who's up to no good? Ga, right? I'll follow you, Ga. I'll stay for a few days, then I'll leave. I don't want that stupid bird to keep pestering me. It's so annoying. Lei Xingfeng said, I'm not interested in bringing you along. Birdbeard said anxiously, why? Why, Ga? I'm a good bird. Lei Xingfeng said, I can't afford a lose face like this, bringing a narcissistic bird with a foul mouth. I'll be laughed at. Birdbeard said, laughed at? Then I'll be laughed at as long as the bird doesn't laugh at me. Why, Ga? Where's the foul mouth? Where's the narcissism? Nonsense. Lei Xingfeng raised his hand and threw Birdbeard away, saying, don't mess with me, or I'll pluck your feathers and roast you. Blackbird made a roll in the air, paused for a moment, then landed directly on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder, saying, don't be so rude. Be a gentleman. Be a gentleman. Jean Dia and the other two were stunned as they listened to the conversation between the man and the bird. They had never seen such a vulgar bird. Lei Xingfeng's body suddenly emitted a layer of electric arc, hitting Blackbird in an instant. He wanted to make Blackbird suffer a little, but he forgot that Blackbird was also of the thunder attribute. That little bit of thunder couldn't hurt Blackbird at all. The most amazing thing was that Blackbird actually absorbed the thunder and lightning directly into its body, shouting, oh, cool, again. Jean Dia couldn't help but laugh. A phone, you two have the same attribute. He's not afraid of thunder and lightning, right? Lei Xingfeng didn't believe it. He slapped Blackbird down from his shoulder and said, try this. A thick electric current flew out. Crackle. The electric current hit Blackbird directly. That Blackbird trembled like a leaf in the wind, shaking on the ground for a full 2 minutes. Lei Xingfeng laughed. I don't believe it. The bird, Bude, finally stopped shaking. It yelled, you're shaking me to death. Ga? Caw. Ayaya, this is incredible. Again. Let's do it again. Lei Xingfeng said, What the F asterisk CK? Are you asking for a beating? You want more? All right. Crack. Another thick electric current struck the blackbird. In an instant, the bird trembled violently again. Electric arcs flashed all over its body, but it was getting more and more energetic, and its body even grew bigger. After a while, it stopped trembling, and its voice changed. Oh my God, oh my God. I'm rich, I'm rich. Caw-caw, kalala, Mad Eagle whispered. Is it laughing? Tiger Love said, yeah, I think he's smiling. Jean Dai was puzzled. It said it's rich? What is it? Buddha shouted, come on, come on. Caw, hurry, hurry. Lei Xingfeng understood. This guy used his attack to quickly absorb the lightning and actually grew a little. Of course, he wasn't that stupid. He said, not interested. Buddha screamed, Caw, you can't do this. You can't hang a bird in the air. This. I beg you, hit me. Please. Everyone was completely speechless. Where did this bird come from? Not only was it asking to be kept, it was asking to be abused. Actually, Lei Xingfeng really wanted to kidnap this blackbird, but now he gradually understood that this bird was a little weird. It was the type of bird that wouldn't leave even if you hit it, but if you showed interest in it, this bird would definitely fly away. So now he had to do the opposite. Why would I hit you? I'm not hitting you. Buddha once again flew onto Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said in a different voice, I beg you. Lei Xingfeng's hair stood on end, because this voice was definitely not the sharp cry just now, but the voice of a woman acting coquettishly. He didn't know how it imitated it, but it sounded like a little girl's voice. Damn, can you not talk like that? It's too disgusting. You're a bird, not a person. Buddha said coquettishly, promise me. Lei Xingfeng raised his hand and sent it flying, saying, damn it, if you talk like that again, I'll pluck your feathers. Buddha said, how rude. Buddha has decided. I'll follow you from now on. Then its voice changed. You can treat me better. Lei Xingfeng suddenly had a steel rod in his hand and said, if you talk like that again, I'll beat you to death with this rod. Buddha threw itself onto Lei Xingfeng's shoulder again, as if there was something there that attracted it, and said, okay, you can't joke at all. Bullying a bird, does it give you a sense of accomplishment? Lei Xingfeng was stunned. This guy's mouth was really scary. No matter what it said, it was reasonable. Putting away the steel rod, Lei Xingfeng said, okay, follow me. There's a condition, or die far away. Buddha was immediately tricked and said, what condition? Lei Xingfeng said, you have to listen to my orders, You'll be my subordinate. Buddha blinked and said, listening to orders is no problem, but there must be a reward, yes. That's the reward. This request was nothing. Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, no problem. What reward do you want? Buddha said, twice a day, no, 3 times hit me. Lei Xingfeng almost fell. This request was too strange, but he immediately reacted. This bird wanted to use this method to train. He nodded and said, okay, 3 times, no problem. If you perform well, I'll reward you once or twice. Since it was asking for a beating, then he would beat it up for fun. Buddha was very satisfied and said, deal. Then it flew in front of Lei Xingfeng and said, no regrets. Lei Xingfeng held back his laughter and said, no problem. Then he took out a piece of beef jerky, tore off a piece, and threw it out. Buddha was still a bird after all, although it was very smart, but it still had some instincts. Its body flashed, and it caught the jerky in midair and said, don't throw it around. Feed me properly, really, Jie? Lei Xingfeng grinned and still tore off a piece of beef jerky and threw it out. Buddha was so busy that it couldn't stop and heard it call out, hey, you're walking the bird. Are you trying to tire the bird to death? Even so, it didn't want to waste a piece of meat. After eating the meat, Buddha flew back to Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and heard it complain, don't play with the bird like this. Jean Dai laughed and said, a phone, huh? With this bird in the future, you won't be lonely anymore. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love both laughed and shook their heads. Lei Xingfeng accepted this bird. There would be trouble in the future. This bird's mouth was too big. Buddha said, hey, what do you mean you won't be lonely with this bird? My name is Buddha. You guys have to call me Buddha. Jean Dias said, calling you Buddha, no problem, but you can't call us. Hey, that's too rude. Buddha said disdainfully. Then what should I call you? Old man? Old fart? Old stick? Ga. Ga. As it spoke, it was already overjoyed. Jean Dia was choked speechless, and, after a while, he said, no wonder a phone wanted to pluck your feathers. You really do need a beating. Buddha tidied up the feathers on its wings and said slowly, otherwise, I'll let a phone beat me 3 times a day. I do need a beating. How about it? Ga. It also called a phone. Lei Xingfeng saw that Buddha was getting more and more ridiculous and said, all right, Buddha, be polite and call him Uncle Jean like I do. This is Uncle Ing, and this is Uncle Tiger. Buddha was still okay and didn't continue to talk nonsense. He said, Uncle Jean, Uncle Ing, Uncle Tiger. Ga, why am I called Eagle? I hate eagles. Mad Eagle couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, I'm different from the eagle that chased you. Buddha said unreasonably, I hate eagles. Hate them. Ga. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Ing, let it be, this guy must have been provoked. Buddha's claws hooked Lei Xingfeng's collar, and its body leaned on Lei Xingfeng's neck, looking like a lazy bird. This time, he didn't refute Lei Xingfeng's words, because he was indeed bullied badly by the golden eagle. Mad Eagle, of course, wouldn't argue with a bird. He smiled slightly and didn't say anything. Jean Dias said, there's the sea in front. I wonder what's on the other side of the sea. Do you want to take a look? Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, no, we'll stop here for this exploration. Have you recorded the topography? Tiger Love said, yes, when we go back and gather with the other teams, we should be able to piece together the rough terrain. Lei Xingfeng's group of 4 returned to the camp with a blackbird. At this time, Wu Yang and Gucci had already returned. Their role was to ensure the safety of the people who came in to explore. Now that they had explored and found that there weren't any particularly strong enemies, they didn't need to stay here any longer. Gucci's other disciples also brought a large number of people into the camp. This place had already become a large construction site, and every direct disciple had their own campsite. There was also the campsite where Feng Qinzong was overseeing. Lei Xingfeng went to Feng Qinzong's place and collected the topography map, as well as some of the common mineral deposits to report to him. Feng Qinzong brought a group of people to organize the topography of this place. This place would take a long time to develop, and the entire hidden sect strength was basically invested in it. The room was filled with senior brothers and sisters, so Lei Xingfeng was already familiar with them. When he walked in, he immediately attracted everyone's attention because there was a black bird about a foot long on his shoulder. This black bird didn't have any image at all. It just leaned on Lei Xingfeng's neck, its 2 claws hooking onto his clothes. Its eyes were closed, and it looked like a dead bird. As the eldest senior brother, Yuko also brought a lot of people in this time. He had a lot of complaints about not being able to enter this place the first time. Oh, isn't this a phone? Why are you carrying a dead bird back? Yuko teased. Chapter 255. Who will be spared by the blackbird's beak? Suddenly, the blackbird stood up. It brushed its feathers and opened its mouth. Even if you die, I won't die, you birdman. Suddenly, everyone in the room fell silent. Suddenly, a bird was speaking fluently, and it was even scolding people. This was too much information, and no one could react in time. Yuko was stunned. He pointed at the blackbird and said, "Ew." The blackbird raised its head and said, "What you? You're such a big birdman, and you don't even know how to speak. What you? Caw." Yuko was completely dumbfounded. This bird's mouth was too powerful. Before he could say anything, a burst of laughter rang out. His face turned red. He gritted his teeth and said, "Do you want to die? I'll kill you." The blackbird hid behind Lei Xingfeng's head. It quietly poked its head out and said, "A phone. This birdman is threatening me." Ha! Ha ha! Everyone laughed. After a while, Exagelon said, "A phone. Where did you get such a treasure?" The blackbird said, I'm not a treasure. I, bird beaut. Xin Zhaolun laughed. Amazing. What a good name. It's really amazing. The blackbird said proudly, of course. Yuko exploded. He charged at Lei Xingfeng and reached out to grab the blackbird. Feng Qinzong grabbed him by the neck and pulled him back. Yuko roared, I'm going to skin you and pull out your tendons. I'm going to cook you and eat you. The blackbird poked its head out from behind Lei Xingfeng's head and said, Caw, caw, caw. I'm scared to death, so fierce. I'm so scared. The room was in chaos. The female disciples, Qi Meiyun, Yin Yao, and Miao Ling, all looked at the blackbird with motherly instincts. The blackbird pretended to be timid, making the female disciples feel sorry for it. Qi Meiyun said, Don't be scared, don't be scared. Come to me, I'll protect you. Yin Yao said, This little guy is really fun to play with. Miao Ling said, Eldest senior brother, you can't bully it, hee, it's so pitiful. Yuko was completely speechless. He realized that he shouldn't have bickered with a bird in the first place. Regardless of whether he won or lost, he would lose face. He waved his hand and said, Forget it. I can't be bothered to get angry with a bird. The blackbird was still not satisfied. It stuck out its little head and said, But you're angry, quack, quack, you're angry. Lei Xingfeng was also speechless. This blackbird was simply a troublemaker. As soon as he came back, he quarreled with his senior brother and even won the quarrel. It was really outrageous. Jean Dia and the other two were chuckling. Previously, they had seen Blackbird's elegant demeanor. Even when he was cursing Lei Xingfeng, Blackbird did not fall into a disadvantageous position. Feng Qinzong held back his laughter. All right, stop messing around. Since June, your uncle had spoken, everyone stopped talking. The bird was indeed smart. Its spearhead had always been directed at one person. It definitely did not expand, attacking one person, roping in a group, or ignoring a group. This was its strategy. So far, it had been very successful. A group of female disciples surrounded Lei Xingfeng. They all took out various snacks and tried to feed Blackbird. Blackbird yelled, Quack! Hey, I'm not a trash can. You can throw everything in there. It made the female disciples laugh nonstop. Blackbird actually sighed. Quack, 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 troublesome. So troublesome. Lei Xingfeng said, All right, shut up. What's with all this nonsense? Blackbird was obedient. It grabbed Lei Xingfeng's collar, tilted its body, and hid its head under its wings. Fine, I'll shut up. I'm going to sleep. Don't bother me. Feng Qinzong said, All right, come over here. This is the map we recently obtained. We found a total of 7 mineral veins. There are also many places rich in rare plants. Yes, we didn't find any dangerous beasts or people. This land is completely pristine. It's very easy to develop. The 7 mineral veins are all normal mines. There are no special ones. We still need to investigate further. For now, we only have a small amount of land in this world. We can gradually expand in the future. Lei Xingfeng knew that this would be a long process. Once they developed to a certain extent, Feng Qinzong would bring in other secret people. Of course, they had to be cultivators below monarch rank. These people had to pay a certain fee to enter. This was Feng Qinzong's right and benefit. No one else could take it. Although Yuko was still resentful, he couldn't really make things difficult for a bird. He said, We've only explored a small part of the mountain range here. We still need time to search further and draw a topographic map. Feng Qinzong said, Yes, I know. Also, I'll emphasize again that once the mineral veins are developed, they will get 10% of the profits. The more they find, the greater the harvest. Lei Xingfeng said, Junior uncle, we've already reached the end. There's only the sea in front of us. There's no way forward. Feng Qinzong said, It's better if there's an ocean. Our world doesn't have an ocean. I heard that where there is an ocean, there are many precious minerals in the ocean. Yes, we can slowly explore in the future. There weren't many places in the outer world that had an ocean. This was a piece of news that surprised Lei Xingfeng. In his past life, he had a good understanding of the ocean. He knew that there were countless minerals hidden under the ocean. It was just that they couldn't be mined on a large scale. In this world, There were high-level sages and even more powerful monarchs. With their own strength, they could go down to the ocean to search for minerals. Lei Xingfeng wasn't working here for nothing. This was a secret sect mission. Once completed, there would be rewards and all sorts of benefits. He wasn't a ninth ring sage yet. Once he did, there would be a large number of missions. The secret sect didn't train a disciple for nothing. The disciple had to contribute a lot in return. This was a mutually beneficial process. Overall, the disciple had the advantage. Once a monarch started taking in disciples, it was the same as starting an investment. As for whether it would be profitable or not, it was hard to say. If the disciple was cultivated, it would be profitable. If the disciple didn't, it would be a loss. Therefore, every monarch was very careful when choosing a disciple. Not only did it require a good eye, it also required good luck. Lei Xingfeng still had his sect and the help of his former junior brothers and sisters. In a few years, he would start training his own disciples. At that time, he wouldn't give many missions to Lei Xingfeng and the others. He would have to satisfy the needs of his disciples first. Of course, right now, he still had to rely on Lei Xingfeng and the others. A good disciple was a good investment. For example, when Gucci took in Lei Xingfeng, he was already an 8th ring sage without using any resources. Soon, he would reach the 9th ring sage. He had just started collecting resources, and he had already gotten a lot of good stuff. Just the smoke-eating bugs that Wu Yang received was already a big fortune. During this period, Wu Yang would definitely compensate Gucci and Lei Xingfeng. However, a rare treasure like the smoke-eating bug wasn't something that could be obtained with just compensation. This was the benefit of taking in a disciple. Feng Qinzong said, "Next, we'll focus on 2 areas. One is the mountain range. It's easier to find ores in the mountains. Everyone knows this. The other is the seabed. Let's focus on the mountain range. Let's see what we can get." The reason why it was easier to find ores in the mountains was because the cliffs and broken walls of the mountain range directly exposed the underground rock layer. In the plains, there was an extremely thick layer of soil. It was impossible to figure out what was underneath. Lei Xingfeng nodded to himself. It was easier to find ores in the mountains. Especially for him, it was just a matter of a glance. He could tell if there were ores or not with just a glance. On the ground, he couldn't see anything. There was a thick layer of soil and a large number of plants covering the mineral deposits tightly. If he didn't dig, he wouldn't be able to see them. He also couldn't dig holes everywhere. It wasn't practical at all. Feng Qinzong said, "This time, all the disciples will go. Everyone will bring a few subordinates. We'll split up and search according to the area. Each person will be responsible for a few mountains. I believe there will be a lot of good stuff." Every disciple had to go. Of course, Lei Xingfeng couldn't escape. He had to go as well. Lei Xingfeng also set up his own camp. The general manager was Qi Xian. Of course, Hong Chun and Yan also came. There were also many guards and a few hundred ordinary people. They were all in the prime of their lives. Their task was to set up the camp, cultivate the land, hunt, fish, and do all kinds of other chores. They still brought Jean Daya, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and a bird called Buddha. The large group flew towards the mountains. To the north was the sea, and to the south was the mountains. After flying for 5 days, Feng Qinzong's group finally arrived at the mountains. This time, most of the people who went had 6th ring sages and were all cultivators who could fly. As for the direct disciples, they were carried by their guards who could fly and also came to the mountains. In the beginning, they saw large hills. They were all primeval forests, and there were countless lakes and ponds. As the mountains rose and fell, they soon saw towering mountains that reached into the clouds. They could see the snow on the peaks. From high up in the sky, they could clearly see the endless mountains. There were many eagles circling in the sky. After entering the mountains, Feng Qinzong gave the order. The group immediately swooped down and quickly landed on top of a mountain. Lei Xingfeng landed. Blackbird couldn't help but say, "Feng, it's so cold." Yuko glared at Buddha. Buddha shrunk his neck and said, "Be careful." Lei Xingfeng saw Buddha's glare and pretended not to understand. Be careful of what? Buddha said, be careful. Someone's eyeballs are going to fall out. Puffed. Yin Yao was on the side. Of course, she heard it clearly. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lei Xingfeng said, why do you have so many weird things to say? Buddha said, because of me. Buddha. Yuko almost died from anger. He didn't dare to argue with Buddha. He already understood that no matter if he won or lost, he would lose face. He muttered, this damn bird. Chapter 256. Lei Xingfeng had always believed that Buddha had a talent for cursing. Just a casual sentence from it could make many people fly into a rage. Lei Xingfeng whispered, don't spout nonsense. Be careful, or Big Senior Brother will really beat you up. Buddha harumphed. Its tone was absolutely disdainful. Yuko really couldn't fight with a bird. He couldn't afford to lose face like this. Feng Qinzong said, all right, everyone is in charge of a few mountains. Start searching. It's best if we can find a mine, but if we can't, there's no need to rush. We have plenty of time. As long as there were no other hidden sects invading this place, it was his territory. After a few decades, or even 100 years, he would have finished exploring this place. Lei Xingfeng also took 4 mountains, including Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. There were a total of 16 mountains to explore. Because it was a single area, even if the 4 of them spread out, they only needed to whistle for the others to arrive. Jean Dia said, let's follow this path. Each of us will take a mountain. It'll be fast. Mad Eagle said, I'll take the left. Tiger Love said, then I'll take the right mountain. Jean Dia nodded. I'll take the mountain in front. Lei Xingfeng nodded. All right, everyone spread out. Let's begin. He also picked a mountain and flew over. Feng Qinzong ordered everyone to spread out and begin a large-scale exploration. This was also a chance. Perhaps they could find a valuable mine. He was counting on this outer world, so he had to put his heart into it. Lei Xingfeng followed the mountain and spiraled down. He flew in circles around the mountain. He stared at the cliff to see if there was any light. This was his ultimate move. As long as there was light, it didn't matter what kind of mine it was his success. There were some sporadic light spots on the cliff. Lei Xingfeng wasn't interested. He knew that they were small mines with no value. He was too lazy to record them. He quickly flew to the foot of the mountain and didn't find anything. Lei Xingfeng did not have any regrets and directly flew towards another mountain peak. Very quickly, Lei Xingfeng discovered a mine. At the foot of a mountain, he discovered a golden light on the rock wall. After knocking down a few rocks, he immediately discovered that this was a gold mine. In the eyes of cultivators, gold ores were not very valuable, but they were hard currency among the common folk. This kind of ore was much more valuable than iron ores and copper ores. After recording it down, Lei Xingfeng continued his search. About 10 days later, Lei Xingfeng found 3 mineral veins. One was a gold mine, one was an earth mine that could be used by low-level cultivators, and one was a crystal mine. Crystal and some other materials could be used to make a very good container, which was what the secret door needed the most. After the exploration ended, Lei Xingfeng reported the locations of the 3 mines to Feng Qinzong. Feng Qinzong was overjoyed. With so many people, they had only found 3 mineral veins. Lei Xingfeng alone had found 3. In this exploration of the mountains, they had found a total of 6 mineral veins. Lei Xingfeng had found half of them. This was a reward. Once they started digging, Lei Xingfeng would receive 10% of the profits. With these 6 mineral veins, this exploration was worth it. Not only would they not lose money, but they would also make a lot of money. This made Feng Qinzong very satisfied, especially this gold mine. Although the secret door was extremely rich, the so-called wealth referred to the Luan rings, Luanine rings, and Yin rings. These were hard currency among cultivators, but to buy the products of ordinary people, gold rings were hard currency. With this gold mine, they could recruit ordinary people on a large scale. Although ordinary people did not have the power of cultivators, there were many of them. If they were used well, it would be more convenient than using cultivators. Lei Xingfeng's residence had already been built. There were a total of 3 large wooden houses, all 2 stories high. There was also a large wooden shed outside, surrounded by trees and a pond. Because this was the first time this place was developed, the surrounding environment was pure and the scenery was excellent. Crackle. A bolt of electricity hit the blackbird. Then, the blackbird could be heard squealing. Ouch. I'm going to die from shock. I'm going to die from the shock. Ouch, 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 ouch. Lei Xingfeng laughed and shot out lightning. The blackbird stopped on the ground and was hit by the electricity like a withered leaf in the wind, rolling and trembling. Jean Dia laughed. This guy looks like he's having a good time. After 3 consecutive bolts of lightning, Lei Xingfeng stopped. The blackbird trembled for a long time. Its energy was clearly increased. It combed its feathers and flew up. After circling in the air, it landed on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, "Stingy, can't you hit me a few more times?" Lei Xingfeng said, "You absorbed 3 bolts of lightning. Your body can withstand it. If you hit me a few more times, you'll be injured." The blackbird said, "Excuses. Oomph. Forget it. That's it for today. I'll come back tomorrow. A phone. Give me something to eat." Lei Xingfeng was very generous when it came to food. In his previous life, he had never been hungry, but in this life, he had tasted the feeling of being hungry. Especially when he was young, whenever he found food, he would first satisfy his little sister and then give it to Yi. He himself would eat anything. As long as he could find something to fill his stomach, he would dare to eat it. Thus, after Lei Xingfeng had the ability, he always kept a lot of food in his hidden Luin space. This was a habit brought to him by his childhood experience. Lei Xingyao also had this habit. Not only did she store food, she also liked to store money and resources. She cared even more about it than Lei Xingfeng. Taking out a piece of bull beef jerky, he tore it open and threw it into the air. The blackbird hurriedly flew over to peck at it. Although the blackbird hated Lei Xingfeng's actions, this was walking the bird. This was playing with the bird. This was disrespectful to the bird. But it still had to go. It really liked to eat bull beef. The taste was really wonderful. It was not willing to give up such delicious food for its dignity. After eating the bull beef, the blackbird returned to Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, "AI, I'm so tired. Can't you just put it on the table and let the bird eat properly? Why did you have to throw it into the air? If it landed on the ground, how dirty would it be? Being with you, living is not easy." "Jie," Lei Xingfeng said, "if you have nothing to do, just lie on my shoulder. You don't have to go out to find food. Sooner or later, you will become a fat bird. Letting you fly is to let you train. I'm doing this for your own good." The blackbird hummed a few times and no longer squeaked. It leaned on Lei Xingfeng's neck, hid its head under its wings, and began to sleep again. During this time, the blackbird was really comfortable. There was Lei Xingfeng's thunder forging for cultivation. Lei Xingfeng was responsible for feeding food, and it slept on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder when it was free. This was the life of an immortal. Compared to its previous hard work in finding food and the entanglement of the golden eagle, this life was really too good. This blackbird has been relying on Lei Xingfeng since then. The blackbird didn't realize that unconsciously, its conversation with Lei Xingfeng was getting less and less confident. The blackbird's sleeping ability was very good. A pair of small claws were tightly hooked on Lei Xingfeng's collar, and its body leaned on Lei Xingfeng's neck. It tilted its body and hid its head in its wings. This fellow would also make a very light, snoring sound when it slept. Every time, Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. Jean Dia said, "This lazy bird fell asleep again. A phone. Are we still going to look for mineral veins?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, "It will take a long time to develop this place. There's no need to look so hard. When we have time, we will slowly wander around." Mad Eagle laughed and said, "It's really good here, especially there are countless prey here. Hee hee, if you have nothing to do, you can hunt, play barbecue, and relax here. It's a good place." Tiger Love said, "In fact, although this place is very good, I am still a little disappointed." Lei Xingfeng curiously asked, "Uncle Tiger, why are you disappointed?" Tiger Love said, "There are no powerful enemies here. It seemed a lot less fun." Jean Dia laughed and said, "Isn't it good to have no enemies? I think this is the best. Without enemies, we could develop in peace. With this place, our secret sect should be able to develop greatly. This is the best base." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Yes, such a beautiful place with no powerful enemies. Young martial uncle definitely made a big profit this time." Jean Depan carried a large plate of fresh fruits and snacks and put them on the table under the wooden shed. He said with a smile, "There are several kinds of fruits here that are very good. Someone just picked them. I tasted them, and they are very delicious." Lei Xingfeng said, "Fatty, there is the sea here. Hee, you could try the seafood. The fish and shrimp in the sea are completely different from those in rivers and lakes." Jean Depan's eyes immediately lit up. He said, "I have heard of the sea for a long time. I heard that the fish and shrimp in the sea are very big. There are also many other strange things that are said to be very delicious." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Go find Tung Yuan. He is a foodie. He will definitely not let go of the seafood in the sea." Ever since his exchange with Tung Yuan, the two gluttons have become absolute friends. In the secret sect, becoming friends with a direct descendant meant that one's status would rise rapidly. Now that this fellow had two direct descendant disciples backing him up, no one dared to ignore him. Jean Depang was a little surprised. Now that he had two direct descendant disciples supporting him, no one dared to ignore him. Mad Eagle watched Jean Depang run out and said, "This kid will do better than us in the future." Jean Dia nodded and said, "Yes, he has already done well in the secret sect not long after coming." Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "He has been in the government. Hee, of course he is smarter than us." He knew how powerful those in the government were. Although the government was different from the government in his previous life, those who could be in the government were usually more tactful and didn't have the bad temper of many cultivators. Suddenly, Jean Depan ran back. Jean Dia frowned and said, "Depan, why are you in such a hurry?" Jean Depan said, "It's terrible. There is a fight in the mountain area." Jean Dia said, "What do you mean by fighting? Speak clearly." Lei Xingfeng said, "Fatty, speak slowly. Don't be in such a hurry." Blackbird was woken up by Jean Depan and said unhappily, "So noisy. Can't you let me sleep? Seriously, caw." Chapter 257. Jean Depang said, "They said they encountered something strange in the mountains and fought with senior brother Yuko. They're all rushing over." Lei Xingfeng hurriedly stood up and said, "They're all there?" Jean Depang said, "They're all there." Lei Xingfeng said without hesitation, "Let's go." He had already flown into the air. After getting his bearings, he flew towards the south. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love followed. Jean Depang stood in the courtyard and shouted towards the sky, "Hey, take me with you." Unfortunately, he couldn't fly, so of course he couldn't go. Along the way, they saw several guards from the gate who were also rushing desperately. Lei Xingfeng ignored them and quickly overtook them. He was a lightning-type cultivator, so his speed was absolutely terrifying. When he was still a 7th ring sage, he could catch up with a 9th ring sage. Now that he was an 8th ring sage, once his speed reached its peak, even Jean Dia and the other two would have a hard time catching up. The blackbird lay on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and grabbed Lei Xingfeng's collar. It tilted its head and croaked, "You're too slow, too slow." Lei Xingfeng was angry and amused. He said, "You're a bird and I'm a human. Of course you're faster. If I'm running on the ground and you're jumping on the ground, who do you think is faster?" The blackbird said, "Nonsense, why would I jump on the ground? If I could fly, why would I jump on the ground if I didn't? There's something wrong with me." Lei Xingfeng laughed and scolded, "There's something wrong with you to begin with." The blackbird angrily pecked Lei Xingfeng's neck. Lei Xingfeng said, "Hey, why did you bite me?" The blackbird snorted and combed its feathers. "His skin is rough and his flesh is thick. I can't bite through it." One man and one bird, bickering as they galloped. Rushing at full speed, they arrived at the mountainous region in less than a day. Not long after they entered the mountainous region, they heard the sound of muffled thunder. Having arrived here, Lei Xingfeng was no longer in a hurry. He said, "Let's take a break." He brought Jean Dia and the other two to the top of a mountain. The four of them made use of the time to cultivate and replenish the Yinli that they had expended. Even though the journey wasn't long, the continuous journey had expended a lot of Yinli. After a short while, the four of them recovered. Lei Xingfeng stood up and looked into the distance. Smoke and dust could still be seen rising into the sky. Muffled thunder could be heard faintly. No one knew what it was that could cause such an intense battle. Soon, Jean Dia and the others also stood up. Mad Eagle said, "It seems like the fight is very intense." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yeah, I don't know what it is. Let's go." With a leap, he was already in the air. Suddenly, a silver light flashed, and Exine Feng appeared 100 meters away. In an instant, he turned into a silver light and flew towards the battlefield like a bolt of lightning. The four of them quickly arrived at the edge of the battlefield and found the others who were still watching the battle. Yuko was in a sorry state. His clothes were tattered, and he stood on the mountaintop in a daze. There were enlightened masters around him, including 2nd Senior Exine Jiaowen, 3rd Senior Qi Meiyun, and a large number of 8th and 9th Ring enlightened masters. Lei Xingfeng landed and also stared into the distance. Because of the large amount of smoke and dust, he couldn't see what it was. However, just the muffled thunder alone told him that it wasn't something ordinary. "Second Senior Brother, what is it? Who is fighting now?" Exine Jiaowen sighed and said, "It's Junior Uncle fighting. As for what it is, haha, this is the first time I've seen it. I never knew that stones could have life." Lei Xingfeng didn't understand at all. He said, "What do you mean? Stones have life?" Without waiting for Exine Jiaowen to answer, Jean Dia said, Look. Hiss, what is this thing?" Lei Xingfeng felt the mountain beneath his feet start to tremble. He looked and couldn't help but gasp. What the F***CK? A huge head emerged from the smoke and dust. It had a triangular head. At a glance, Lei Xingfeng thought it was a snake's head. However, it looked like it was made of stone. Yuko said weakly, "This is a stone dragon, a natural earth-type beast. It's a huge mine. Of course, we have to extract its spirituality. Otherwise, we can't even get close. This thing is made of huge stones. It can't be moved at all. Even if we break some stones, it won't affect it." Lei Xingfeng said, "Can Junior Uncle beat it?" Yuko said, "It's difficult. I've already sent people back to invite Master and Grandmaster." Lei Xingfeng said eagerly, "Let's go. Even if we can't kill it, we can at least stall it." Exine Jiaowen said, "Don't go. 2 9th Ring sages have already died. It's useless even if we go. This stone dragon should be an adult. It's not something we can deal with." Lei Xingfeng said, "Is the stone dragon a star beast?" Exine Jiaowen said, "It's not a star beast, but it's not inferior to one. It's a type of earth beast. I don't know much about it." Boom! The stone dragon's head that had been raised up suddenly smashed down. With a loud bang, a mountain peak completely collapsed. Seeing this, Lei Xingfeng gave up. This wasn't something a sage could go up. At the very least, one had to be a monarch. Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't think Junior Uncle can do it alone." Qi Meiyun said, "Junior Uncle is only stalling it to prevent it from coming. It's probably guerrilla warfare. He won't fight it head-on." Lei Xingfeng nodded. Then there shouldn't be any problems. The head was as big as a mountain. It was impossible to tell how long the body was or how sure Chio's body grew. A group of people stood on a mountain far away, watching Feng Chenzong fight Shi Chio. To be precise, they couldn't even see Feng Chenzong. They could only see Shi Chio's head poking out of the dust. And that was because Shi Chio's head was too big. Every time it struck, the stone dragon's huge head would smash down. Basically, every strike would cause a mountain to collapse, and countless dust and gravel would rise into the air. Feng Chenzong was also complaining. He didn't have any way to kill the stone dragon. He could only smash boulder after boulder. The stone dragon's body was made out of boulders, so it didn't care at all. At this time, 2 figures appeared out of thin air. Guqi and Wu Yang finally arrived. The two didn't rush to attack. Instead, they stood with the others and observed. Wu Yong said, "This is a stone dragon." "Strange. Why is there a stone dragon here?" Gucci said, "This is an adult stone dragon." "Huh. If we kill it, Junior brother will be rich." Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Master, why will Junior uncle be rich if we kill the stone dragon?" Wu Yong said, "The stone dragon is an earth beast. It's a spiritual beast born from all kinds of precious minerals. Once its spirituality is extracted, these precious minerals will appear. This place belongs to your junior uncle. Don't you think he'll be rich?" Lei Xingfeng muttered, "Spirituality?" Wu Yong said, "Let's go. You bring Feng Qinzong back, and this stone dragon's spirituality will be mine." With a slight sway of their figures, the two of them disappeared. It was unknown how they had passed through. Everyone watched nervously. After a while, Gucci brought Feng Qinzong back. Feng Qinzong was in a sorry state. Like Yuko, his clothes were tattered and his hair was disheveled. He said, "This stone dragon is too abnormal. I can't beat it no matter how hard I try. I was almost hit by it. What a scary guy." Look, the founder made his move. The stone dragon raised its head again. This time, it stood upright and pierced through the clouds. Everyone could clearly see the stone dragon's upper body. It was a huge body made of huge rocks. Suddenly, the huge body smashed down. Boom! Boom! Two mountains exploded, flattening the huge mountain. Dust covered the sky, making it impossible to see the battle in the dust. Rays of golden light flashed. No one knew what method the founder used, but the sound of explosions was as dense as rain. A series of strange, muffled sounds of thunder rang out. Feng Qinzong said, "Ancestor is hurting it." Lei Xingfeng said, "Is that the stone dragon's cry?" Gucci said, "That's right. The stone dragon's cry is as deep as thunder." Lei Xingfeng suddenly realized that the blackbird was unusually quiet. After it landed, it didn't say a word. Lei Xingfeng turned his head and saw the blackbird covering its head with its wings. It curled up on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and shivered. He said, "Bird Butte, what's wrong?" Bird Butte said, Don't mind me. It's so scary. I'm scared to death." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "You still have times when you're scared?" Gucci looked at the blackbird and said, "A Feng, where did you find this talking bird?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I found it by chance." "Right, master, this bird. Do you know it?" Gucci said, "I've never seen it. It's a strange bird." Bird Butte was never merciful. This time it didn't talk back. It was just scared. The stone dragon probably gave it too much pressure. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "It has the same attributes as me. So I brought it with me." Gucci nodded and said, "Well, everyone pay attention." He flew up and said, "Follow me and retreat. The battle circle will soon expand." Everyone followed Gucci and retreated to the back. In a moment, they retreated to the top of another huge mountain. They could clearly see the battlefield. When the stone dragon appeared again, everyone was surprised to find that the stone dragon was thin. Its originally huge body seemed to have lost a lot of weight. There were many places on its body that were missing a lot of boulders. With a thunderous roar, the stone dragon extended from its head down. One boulder after another exploded into powder. It was like a string of firecrackers exploding down. No one knew what method Wu Yang used. In an instant, the stone dragon lost a layer of boulders. The stone dragon roared, and its upright body crazily smashed down again. It faced the mountain where Lei Xingfeng and the others were standing before. Chapter 258. Boom! With one strike, the mountain Lei Xingfeng and the others were standing on collapsed. Smoke and dust rose into the air as if a nuclear bomb had exploded. It was as if the smoke and dust could reach the sky. The place Exine Feng and the others were standing on was also a mountain peak. It started to tremble violently as the snow on the mountain started to crumble, causing countless rocks to fall from the sky. The crowd couldn't help but turn pale. This might was truly frightening. Wu Yong suddenly flew out of the smoke and dust. He stuck close to the stone dragon and rushed into the smoke. Gucci said, Let's retreat again. They had no choice but to retreat. They were too close to the stone dragon. If they were hit by it, they would die without a doubt. A large group of people quickly fled into the distance. Feng Qinzong's face revealed a trace of joy. He knew in his heart that once this stone dragon was killed, he would be rich. When the group retreated to the mountain top in the distance, Guqi and Feng Qinzong couldn't wait any longer. The two of them flew up at the same time and went straight for the stone dragon. Even if they couldn't win against the stone dragon, the two of them could still be of some use. If they continued to watch like this, the two of them would feel uneasy. With Guqi and Feng Qinzong restraining the stone dragon, Wu Yang fought without restraint. Gradually, the stone dragon fell into a disadvantage, and the boulders on its body gradually decreased. Fortunately, the stone dragon's fighting methods were extremely limited. It only used its huge body to smash people. As the boulders on its body decreased, its body gradually became thinner and weaker. Lei Xingfeng stood at the top of the mountain and said, "How do we kill this thing?" Xi and Jialuan said, "I don't know. This is the first time I've seen this thing. I've heard of earth beasts before, but I didn't expect them to be so powerful." Lei Xingfeng said, "Who discovered it first?" Xi and Jialuan laughed. "Eldest apprentice brother discovered it." Haha. Eldest apprentice brother's reaction was fast. He escaped as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would have been dangerous. Yuko said angrily, "We discovered a rare 100 fog silver mine. We didn't dig much before the entire mountain was turned upside down. The entire mountain was *king moving. We were almost crushed under the ground. Luckily, I felt something was wrong and gave the order to escape. 2 people died, just like that, crushed to death by the boulders. This kind of death is ridiculous." This time, the ones who had died were Yuko's bodyguards. Furthermore, they were 2 ninth ring sages. This truly pained him to the core. Within the secret sects, the bodyguards were often the closest to the direct disciples. They had been by their side for a very long time, and their relationship with them was no different from that of family. Once he lost them, it would be a terrible feeling. Lei Xingfeng understood this feeling very well. He said, "Eldest apprentice brother, my condolences. There's always danger outside." Yuko nodded and sighed. "We're still too weak. Normally, I don't think so. But when we encounter something we can't stop, we're helpless. You don't know, but when I saw the entire mountain move, I felt really powerless." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yeah, even a true monarch can't do anything to it. This time, we'll have to rely on the founder." Everyone knew that the founder was a powerful person who was about to become a true monarch. He had a high chance of dealing with the earth beast. With Guqi and Feng Qinzong holding it back, the earth beast was basically done for. Lei Xingfeng said, "The stone dragon is about to escape." Xi and Jialuan said, "It can't escape at all. Its body is too big, haha." Yuko said, "More than half of its body has been destroyed by the founder." Not only had more than half of the boulders on the stone dragon's body been blown away by Wu Yang, but it also seemed to be in low spirits. It wasn't as violent as before. Because of the smoke and dust, Lei Xingfeng and the others couldn't clearly see how Wu Yang fought. When the smoke and dust dissipated a little, they could occasionally see some clues. Wu Yang, Guqi, and Feng Qinzong gradually worked together. At first, it was a little messy, but with Wu Yang's command, the two's cooperation became better and better. Wu Yang only focused on the stone dragon's head, smashing one boulder after another. Guqi and Feng Qinzong focused on the stone dragon's body and attacked one point at a time, trying to break the stone dragon's huge body. As more and more boulders were shattered, the stone dragon's strength became weaker and weaker. Originally, it could still smash mountains, but now it couldn't do so. Roaring and struggling, the stone dragon became more and more desperate. The more energy it used, the more mountains it smashed, and the less hope it had of escaping. Boom! This time, it only smashed the top of the mountain, but the boulders on the stone dragon's body were shattered. Wu Yang yelled, "Keep it up! It's exhausted." The 3 of them attacked like a storm. Even though the stone dragon was struggling, its power wasn't something a sage could withstand. Only a monarch could come and go freely. Although Feng Shinzong was in a bit of a sorry state, this kind of battle allowed him to grow quickly. Especially his attacks. They became sharper and sharper. Gucci was actually one step away from becoming a sky monarch, so he was much stronger than Feng Shinzong. Every time he attacked, the stone dragon would let out a thunderous roar. The three's attacks were actually skinning the stone dragon. They smashed the stone dragon's body and peeled it off. When the outer layer of boulders was smashed to pieces, the stone dragon's body was exposed. Its body was made of rare minerals, so every piece of it was good, or Lei Xingfeng suddenly exclaimed. Through the smoke, he saw a colorful light that even the smoke couldn't hide. As Wu Yang and the others attacked, the colorful light became clearer and clearer. Gradually, the colorful light formed a line, and the stone dragon's body was a long line, like a snake. When the boulders were forcefully peeled off, it was like a person stripped naked. In Lei Xingfeng's eyes, there were no secrets. Lei Xingfeng obviously knew what the colorful light was. It was a rare mineral deposit. He saw the colorful light form a line, but he didn't know that the colorful light was actually the stone dragon's body. But he knew that it was definitely a rare mineral deposit. What puzzled him the most was that the colorful light was moving. He didn't know that it was the stone dragon's body. When the battle reached a critical moment, the stone dragon suddenly stopped struggling. Its entire body crouched down in the valley, filling up several valleys in an instant. Lei Xingfeng also noticed that something was wrong. The colorful light stopped moving. As the smoke dissipated, everyone saw Wu Yang standing on a giant head, one hand pressed against a boulder. He looked a little nervous. Gucci and Feng Shinzong were also standing beside Wu Yang. They didn't know what the three were doing. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but say, "I'll go take a look." Yuko said, "I'll go too." Everyone else, wait. Xi and Jiaoluan said, "Don't move." He flew over as well. Qi Meiyan didn't want to stay and flew out as well. Yin Yao saw that everyone was going, so why should she stay here? She also flew out. When Lei Xingfeng got close to the three, Gucci only glanced at them. He didn't stop them from landing. Lei Xingfeng landed beside Gucci and said, "Master, how is it?" Gucci said, "The stone dragon wants to escape. Your ancestor is stopping it." Wu Yang suddenly spoke. He didn't speak to anyone, but to the stone dragon beneath his feet. "Don't run. You can't escape. Come out." Everyone stared at Wu Yang curiously. He slowly raised one of his hands, and a colorful light flashed. Others may not have seen it, but Lei Xingfeng could see it clearly. Waves of colorful light gathered around the stone dragon's head, gradually gathering in the head. Qi Meiyan didn't understand. "What is Ancestor doing?" Gucci said, "He's extracting the stone dragon's spirit. If he can extract it, then the stone dragon will be completely destroyed." Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "What will happen if he can't extract it?" Gucci said, if he can't extract it, then maybe after a few hundred years, or even a few thousand years, another stone dragon will appear." Lei Xingfeng couldn't imagine what spirit was, so he also stared at Wu Yang. Wu Yang's body glowed. It was obvious that he was using his strength. As he raised his hand, a distorted colorful light was extracted. This colorful light could be seen clearly by everyone. It was like a living thing. Everyone was surprised. "What is this? Is this the stone dragon's spirit?" The colorful light gathered faster and faster. Lei Xingfeng could not only see the spirit light being extracted, but also the colorful light flowing under the stone. Wu Yang shouted, "Ha! Come out!" In an instant, the dazzling light stung everyone's eyes. One by one, they closed their eyes or turned their heads away. Only Gucci and Feng Shinzong were able to block the dazzling light. Of course, Lei Xingfeng could as well. His eyes were different. He could clearly see that half of the spirit had been extracted by Wu Yang. Wu Yang's palms suddenly sank. He grabbed the colorful spiritual light and forcefully pulled it out. The colorful spiritual light of the stone dragon was like a real entity, crazily struggling. Lei Xingfeng was stunned. This thing was too magical. It could be extracted from the stone. He didn't even know how to describe this stone dragon spirit. Kacha. Lei Xingfeng found that the stone under his feet began to crack. A crack quickly formed under his feet. He heard Wu Yang shout again, "Ha!" With a fierce tug, his entire body was lifted into the air. The stone dragon spirituality was finally pulled out. However, Xen Feng noticed that the stone dragon spirituality still had a broken tail. It quickly left along with the movement of the rock. He could clearly see a streak of colorful light flashing through the rock. He didn't know where it was hiding. A meter-long stone dragon spirit was held in Wu Yang's hand. With a crackling sound, the colorful light quickly shrank. Soon it formed a palm-sized, finger-thick, translucent stone. Wu Yang said, "It's done." After looking at it carefully, Wu Yang shook his head. "Too bad, a broken tail. It's not complete. Too bad." Wu Yang showed the stone dragon's spirit to everyone. When it was passed to Lei Xingfeng, he carefully looked at the stone formed by spirit. It glowed with a colorful light. It looked like a jade carving. Its body was segmented. It had no limbs. It had a triangular head, very much like a snake's head. The tail was missing a small section. It looked incomplete. Chapter 259. Lei Xingfeng could clearly feel the enormous energy within the stone. He didn't know what method the ancestor used to solidify the spirit. Lei Xingfeng said, "What a beautiful stone dragon spirit." Wu Yang laughed. "Don't fall on the stone. Ha. As soon as it touches the ground, this thing will immediately escape." Lei Xingfeng asked, "What's the use of it?" Wu Yang said, "It's very useful. This thing is too rare. Ha. I plan to put this spirit into the secret treasure space and control it well. This thing can produce all kinds of rare mineral veins." Gucci said, "This is a long-term use method. This thing is a treasure for earth element cultivators. With it, even your talent will improve and your cultivation speed will increase." Lei Xingfeng said, "Are there similar spirits for other elements?" Wu Yang laughed. "Of course there are, but if you're lucky enough to find it, it will be immediately snatched up by others. It won't be your turn to collect it." Feng Qinzong laughed. "I have to thank Master for being merciful just now. Ha. Leave a section of the tail." Everyone now understood that Wu Yang did it on purpose. Wu Yang smiled and said, "It would be perfect to take them all away, but it's not good for this world. With this tail, sooner or later, there will be another stone dragon here. Hee, this harvest will be great." Gucci said, "Organize people to dig. There should be all kinds of rare minerals here. Ha. Don't forget to give me a share." Feng Qinzong laughed. "Of course. Let's first excavate the mineral resources brought by the stone dragon. I estimate that this vein left behind by the stone dragon's body will be enough for me to pay off my debt and make a fortune." Yuko said, "I found this. I should have a share." Feng Qinzong smiled. "Of course. I'll give everyone 3 days to dig. Then I'll seal off this area. Yuko, you get 10%. During these 3 days, all the direct descendants were allowed to dig. Of course, the guards weren't allowed to dig. In other words, whatever they dug out during these 3 days would belong to them. Therefore, this group of disciples all rubbed their palms. This was a good opportunity. It would be a waste if they didn't dig. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Thank you, junior martial uncle." Of course he was happy. Fortunately, he had cheat-like eyes and could see special ores. He could also find the location of top-grade ores. Wu Yang accepted the stone dragon's spirituality and did not ask for a share. He smiled and said, "You don't have to count me in. With this stone dragon's spirituality, everything is worth it." He put away the stone dragon's spirituality and left quietly. Gucci left with the others. By others, he meant everyone other than the direct descendants. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love also left. There was no other way. Only the direct descendants had this right. Feng Qinzong smiled. 3 days from now, everyone will gather here. Ha. During this time, each of you can do your best. Dig up as much as you can. This is a benefit for everyone. Yuko said, "Junior martial uncle, can I dig too?" Feng Qinzong said, "Of course you can. You're their senior martial brother. Yuko immediately became happy. Not only would he get 10%, but he could also dig for 3 days. This feeling was great. 3 days later, Lei Xingfeng returned to the starting point. No one knew how the others dug. The stone dragon's body was dozens of kilometers long, filling up 3 valleys. There were only 8 direct descendants. Once they spread out, they wouldn't meet each other, so no one knew what each person's income was. Lei Xingfeng's 3 days were absolutely terrifying. He dug for 3 days without sleep or rest. His speed of finding ores was extremely fast. The only thing he wanted was top-grade ores. Only top-grade ores could attract his attention. Only then would he dig. Lei Xingfeng didn't even spare a glance for top-grade ores. He knew that this was his only chance. Once he left, he believed that Feng Qinzong wouldn't let any cultivators in. Only ordinary people would dig, and on a large scale. No one would be able to take advantage of this. So Lei Xingfeng wouldn't let go of this opportunity. What he didn't expect was that there were so many ores here. There were so many top-grade ores. He even dug up a top-grade purple crystal. Fortunately, he learned the Star Python record, which recorded materials. His knowledge was much broader than before. Otherwise, he would have missed out on a lot of precious ores. Even so, he still dug up a few unknown ores, relying on his intuition and the light he emitted to find these ores. As for what they were called or what they were used for, he didn't know anything, but Xi and Feng knew that they were good things. In 3 days, Lei Xingfeng dug from the stone dragon's tail all the way to its head. There, he found several precious ores. Of course, if he had more time, Lei Xingfeng could have dug up more. But he wasn't greedy. In 3 days, he found at least 20 different types of ores. They were all top-grade ores. He believed that if he used these ores to trade for rings, he'd get at least 6,000. This was a huge fortune. Soon, Feng Qinzong came over. Haven't those guys returned yet? Lei Xingfeng laughed. They're all good stuff. I think they've forgotten the time. Feng Qinzong looked up to the sky and roared. After a while, the group of disciples returned. Yuko said, "Sorry, junior uncle. I was so busy that I forgot." The group chatted excitedly. Everyone had found something. Only Lei Xingfeng didn't say a word. Xi and Zhaoluan whispered, "Feng, how's your harvest?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "It's passable. In such a short time. Even if there's something, it's limited. Junior uncle, if you want to dig up more in the future, I'll pay you with rings. What do you think?" Feng Qinzong thought for a while. "Let's wait for a while. We'll see." Lei Xingfeng nodded. As long as Feng Qinzong didn't refuse, there was still a chance. "Okay, we'll see." Feng Qinzong said, "This place will soon be defended by the inner sect guards. The digging will be carried out by the hidden sect. Everyone, be careful. Don't come in without permission. It won't be good if there's a misunderstanding." In fact, if disciples of the direct line sneaked in, nothing would happen even if they were caught. But as a direct line disciple, they couldn't afford to lose face. Xi and Zhaoluan said, "Don't worry. No one will come in without permission. Everyone knows the rules." Feng Qinzong smiled. "In the future, if you need any materials, as long as it's here, everything is negotiable." It was necessary to calm the disciples' jealousy. Lei Xingfeng still stood on the side, not saying a word. He wanted to see how Feng Qinzong would handle this. When he said that, he secretly agreed. Feng Qinzong was very generous. To let 8 direct line disciples dig for 3 days and make a promise was already a great thing. If he didn't, even if others didn't like it, they couldn't object. This was a new world he opened up. This world was his. Xi and Zhaoluan smiled. "Thank you for your generosity, junior uncle." Yuko was a bit embarrassed. "Thank you, junior uncle." He obviously wasn't as smart as Xi and Zhaoluan. In fact, Xi and Zhaoluan was much better than Yuko as the eldest senior brother. It was just a coincidence that Feng Qinzong became a monarch. Yuko naturally rose to his position. Everyone thanked him. Feng Qinzong smiled and waved his hand. "We used to be brothers. As your junior uncle, of course, I'll think of everyone first if there's any benefit." Lei Xingfeng said his goodbyes and left. He brought Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, Jean Depang, and the others back to the hidden space. What he found this time shocked him greatly. There were countless strange things in this world, and he was very interested in spirituality. He found a room where his master kept the star python records and began to look for records about spirituality. There were very few records about spirituality, but there were some records of star pythons. Stone pythons had the spirituality of the earth attribute. It was formed by gathering a large amount of rare minerals. It didn't have any intelligence, but was a kind of instinct. Once it was formed, it would form a mine. This mine would contain a large amount of precious minerals, both in quantity and variety. Other attributes also had spirituality, but it was very difficult to form. Wood attribute spirituality was usually formed in forests, and it was even harder to find. Unless the forest that produced spirituality was completely uprooted, it was impossible to capture it. Water also had spirituality, but it was even more secretive. There were also special spiritualities that could be formed. For example, thunder attribute spirituality was extremely rare. It was said that this kind of thunder attribute spirituality required the world to have thunderstorm all year round. Once it was formed, the world would become a world of thunder and lightning. Lei Xingfeng quickly found a way to use the spirituality, and that was to combine it with seals of the same attribute. For example, if the thunder spirituality was combined with Lei Yin, then its power would be unimaginable, and its strength would increase by leaps and bounds. It was impossible to say that he wasn't tempted. Lei Xingfeng looked at the thunder spirituality, and his saliva almost flowed out. This thing was absolutely inconceivable. However, he was just thinking about it. He knew that it was almost impossible to obtain the thunder spirituality, not to mention that he had never seen the world of thunderstorm. Even if he saw it, even if it was really in front of him, he didn't have the ability to capture it. Without the strength of a Lord of Heaven, even if he saw the spirituality, no matter what kind of spirituality it was, he would be helpless. After putting the star python records back, Lei Xingfeng left dejectedly. He knew that, with his strength, there was no way he could obtain the spirituality. Gucci had just returned home when he saw Lei Xingfeng coming out dejectedly. He smiled and said, "Oh, what's wrong?" The blackbird suddenly said, "He was hit." Gucci smiled and said, "Oh, who hit him?" The blackbird said, "Jay, he hit himself. G-A-G-A. G-A." It let out a burst of strange laughter. Gucci said in surprise, "You are a smart bird." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "Bird Bude, shut up. Master, spirituality, other than catching it yourself, where can I get it?" Chapter 260. Gucci said, "When monarchs trade, there may be people who take out spirituality to exchange. However, unless it's something equally precious, it's very difficult to exchange. There are too few spirituality, and even if you see it without a certain level of strength, you can't get it. Even monarchs may not be able to win against spirituality." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes, this time we met the stone dragon. If it wasn't for the ancestor, it would have been very difficult to defeat it." Gucci nodded, "So you don't have to think about spirituality. Work hard on your own cultivation and increase your strength. That's the right way." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "I know. If Master has such a trade fair, take disciple there." Gucci smiled. "If you have something good, then I'll take you there. It's not a big problem. If you don't have anything good, well, a good thing is something that even monarchs need." Lei Xingfeng said, "Well, I'll try my best to find it." "All right, Master. What else do you lack? Tell me, maybe I can find it." Gucci laughed. "Haha, I know a phone is the best. However, a phone, the things I need can't be obtained without a certain level of strength. So in the end, you still have to increase your strength first." "Huh." He was very happy. For his disciple to say this, it meant that his disciple was good to him. Lei Xingfeng frowned. "My strength is still too weak." Gucci smiled. "Don't pretend to be pitiful. You're weak? How much time has it taken for you to reach your 8th true ring body? If other cultivators were to compare themselves to you, Wouldn't they just die? The blackbird heard this and said, "Go to hell, go to hell. Ga, 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 Ga. Go to hell." Gucci glanced at the blackbird. The blackbird didn't dare to caw anymore. Gucci gave it a feeling that was much scarier than the golden eagle. Lei Xingfeng found it funny and turned his head. Not cawing anymore, the blackbird hid its head in its wings and pretended to be dead. Gucci smiled. This bird is so strange. The blackbird was never merciful, but this time it didn't make a sound. Xi and Feng laughed. That's right, little Marshall Uncle's new world is indeed very strange. There are even stone dragons, so having a blackbird, hee, is very normal. Lei Xingfeng found a characteristic of the black bird this time, which was that it bullied the weak and feared the strong. He found it strange, a bird that was stronger than some people. How did this bird grow up? The black bird continued to play dead. It didn't even show its head, let alone speak. Xi and Feng said his goodbyes and left. On his way out, he started a plan. Recently, his cultivation had stabilized, and he wanted to find a thunderstorm to break through again. He knew that if he followed the normal path of cultivation, he would be able to reach the 9th ring, but that would require a lot of time. Without a few years, he wouldn't be able to reach the 9th ring. But how could he find a thunderstorm weather? Maybe he could advance to the 9th ring just once. Last time, he had told Wu Yang that he hoped to go to the outer world and find a world with a thunderstorm. Wu Yang seemed to have said that such a world existed. He ordered the driver, go to the ancestral master's house. In the end, Wu Yang had something to do and left, so Lei Xingfeng could only go home. More and more people came to the house. Other than the guards, there were also people Lei Xingfeng brought back from the outside world. There was a little girl he had taken in at Taimeng, Han Jiao. She had cultivated well, and her house was in the secret space. She studied under Lei Xingfeng, and with the help of Luan rings, she had already reached the level of a mill wheel master. During this time, Han Jiao wanted to break through to the first ring sage stage, so Lei Xingfeng had her come to the house. After all, there were many experts here, and any one of them could help her solve her problem. There were already more than 10 people he had taken in from the outside world. They were all low-level cultivators, and none of them had condensed a true body yet. They were all below the level of a mill wheel master. With the help of Luan rings, their cultivation speed was extremely fast. Of course, their maximum potential was the 9th ring sage stage. Many of them could not reach the 9th ring sage stage, even if they used Yin rings. 6th ring was their limit. Lei Xingfeng also sent people out to recruit cultivators every year. There were countless low-level cultivators, so it was very convenient to recruit them. However, it was very difficult to find cultivators with good potential. Lei Xingfeng began to understand why people wanted to sell children with good potential. Hidden sects had a huge advantage when it came to snatching children with good potential. If they sent people out, even a large sect wouldn't be able to stop them. Unless they had the backing of a hidden sect, they would be robbed. Moreover, they would be willing to be robbed because the hidden sect would use Yin rings to exchange for disciples with good potential. Most of Lei Xingfeng's guards were tasked with finding children with good potential. As long as they went out, they would pay attention to recruiting good disciples. If they could recruit a child with good potential, the reward would be very generous. Children with good potential were also resources in the cultivation world. This kind of human resource was also very precious. Lei Xingfeng and the others sat in the yard and chatted. After exploring Feng Qinzong's new world, they finally had a chance to relax. Jean Depang had prepared a table full of delicious food. Everyone ate and chatted. Xi and Jialuan was also there. He wanted to discuss something with Lei Xingfeng. Mad Eagle said, "A Feng, Wanxi continent is about to enter its rainy season. Hee, do you want to go?" Lei Xingfeng's spirit was immediately lifted. That's great. I'll wait for Wanxi continent to enter its rainy season. Thunderstorm during the rainy season. The probability of it happening was very high. Lei Xingfeng really had a headache looking for a thunderstorm. There was no weather forecast here. Who knew where it would rain? Even if it did rain, it might not be a thunderstorm. Xi and Jialuan said. Rainy season? What's so special about it? Lei Xingfeng said, Nothing. I like the rainy season. He made up a bunch of nonsense. Only a few guards knew about cultivating during a thunderstorm. The others didn't know. He didn't want to spread the news, so he just made it vague. Xi and Jialuan also knew that this guy was talking nonsense, but he wasn't interested. He said, A phone. I've almost finished collecting the materials for my advancement. It's just, Lei Xingfeng said, What do you want to say? Just say it. Why are you stuttering? Blackbird suddenly said, This is how a bird looks when you need help. Xi and Jialuan choked and couldn't say anything. After a while, he said, What do you mean by bird? Blackbird stood on the table and tore a piece of bull meat. It said disapprovingly, It's like me, bird. Everyone laughed. Xi and Jialuan shook his head helplessly and said, Bird Bude, you're going to die in this bird's mouth. Blackbird proudly pecked a piece of meat, raised its head, and swallowed it. Then it said slowly, Caw, boss is here. Nothing will happen. Lei Xingfeng said, Boss. Blackbird nodded its small head and said, Of course, you're the boss. Bird boss. Lei Xingfeng was stunned. Everyone laughed. Was this a compliment or a curse? Bird boss. Thinking about it carefully, Bird Bude didn't curse. Lei Xingfeng was the bird's boss. But hearing it, why did it sound so awkward? Xi and Jialuan shook his head and said, These words are really asking for a beating. Now, few people dared to provoke Bird Bude. This guy's mouth was too big. If you didn't handle it well, you wouldn't be able to get out of the situation. Lei Xingfeng certainly wouldn't beat Bird Bude because of this sentence. He was also very helpless, so he directly ignored it. He said, By the way, second senior brother, what's the matter? Say it. Xi and Jialuan realized that he had forgotten what he wanted to do because of Blackbird. He said, It's like this. Hee, your little sister's secret sect specializes in producing the best medicine. Can you help me ask? I want to buy a medicine. Lei Xingfeng said, What medicine? Xi and Jialuan hesitated for a moment and said, Silver flash medicine. Lei Xingfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. He was no longer a rookie who didn't know anything. Of course, he knew what silver flash medicine was. Silver flash medicine was an extremely precious medicine. It had a very high reputation among Ninth Ring sages. This was because silver flash medicine was also a medicine that could increase one's rank. It had a similar effect as sky crystal and holy crystal. The two were different in that one was concocted, while the other was naturally produced. Silver flash medicine was slightly worse than sky crystal. It could increase one's rank by about 30%, while sky crystal had a 40% success rate. There were only a few treasures in the world that could increase one's rank from Ninth Ring to Monarch. Silver flash medicine was precious because it wasn't naturally produced. It was concocted by a super expert with the wood attribute. Only monarchs could concoct silver flash medicine. However, if a monarch could successfully concoct 3 silver flash medicine with 10 sets of materials, it would be considered a great success. This medicine was extremely precious even in Lei Xingyao's sect. It was impossible for them to trade it. Lei Xingfeng looked at Xi and Jialuan speechlessly and said, Second senior brother, it's not that I don't want to help you. Do you think you can succeed? Xi and Jialuan smiled bitterly and said, I have to try. I don't have the slightest confidence in advancing like this. Alas, I didn't find any sky crystal when I went to the Great Stone Fields last time. If I force myself to advance, the chance of me dying is 99%. It's almost impossible to advance successfully. Lei Xingfeng actually had sky crystal and even better saint crystal. However, he didn't dare to take them out. These things were even more in demand than silver flash medicine. He didn't dare to say that he had sky crystal except to his closest relatives. He said, If you have silver flash medicine, how confident are you in advancing? Xi and Jialuan said, At least 50%, maybe 50-50. If that's the case, then I'm willing to risk it. Without the silver flash potion, I'm only 20%. Too low. It's almost impossible to advance. Advancing from Ninth Ring to Monarch was a choice between life and death. If you succeeded, you would become a monarch. If you failed, you would die. There were no accidents. This was the consensus among Ninth Ring monarchs. No one would fail and still live. Therefore, every time a ninth ring monarch advanced to monarch, it was a feast, regardless of life or death. Just daring to advance would win the admiration of countless people. Chapter 261. Of course, there were also many daring ninth ring sages who dared to force their way through with only a 10% chance of success. These people were basically all dead. No one had ever succeeded. Xi and Jaloin had long since reached the peak of ninth ring. He had also prepared the materials, but he didn't dare to advance because he wasn't confident. If he had the silver flash potion, he would indeed dare to advance. A 50-50 chance of success was a choice between life and death. It was much better than a mere 20% chance. Xi and Jaloin dared to take this gamble, but without the silver flash potion, he didn't dare to take the risk. Lei Xingfeng said, "I can't guarantee anything. I can only ask. No matter what the result is, second senior brother, you can't blame me." Xi and Jaloin was overjoyed. Thank you. I know there's no hope, but it's important to give it a try. Haha, there's no other way. All my hope lies in advancing. If I continue to waste time, my chances of success will become smaller and smaller. Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. I'll do my best. No matter if I succeed or not, I'll send senior brother a message. Xi and Jaloin stood up and bid farewell. In fact, he knew that the chances of successfully obtaining the silver flash potion were close to zero, but he wasn't satisfied if he didn't try. Lei Xingfeng sighed. Actually, it wasn't that he couldn't give Xi and Jaloin a sky crystal, but he didn't dare. It was too tempting. Shaking his head, Lei Xingfeng didn't dwell on it. There were some things he could manage, but there were others he couldn't. Jean Dias said, "If I have a sky crystal and a silver flash potion, a foam, do you think I can advance?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. You also need 50,000 yin rings, countless materials, and a large seal platform for you to advance. Do you think you have a chance of advancing? Jean Dia was immediately discouraged. Even if you sell me off, I won't be worth that much. Sigh. I always let my imagination run wild. Mad Eagle said, actually, even if you collected all these, you still wouldn't be able to level up. Jean Dia was a little unconvinced. Why can't they advance? I've heard that some people relied on medicine to forcibly advance to true monarch. Although they're weaker than other true monarchs, they're still true monarchs. Us ninth ring sage can't compare at all. Mad Eagle said, I know who you're talking about. You've been provoked, haven't you? They're a secret sect that specializes in concocting medicines, and they even have a Dowlord patriarch. Even our patriarch has to call them Uncle Master. Don't even think about it, unless a phone becomes a Dowlord. Hee. And if he wants to help you, you might have a chance at advancing. Lei Xingfeng said, don't be ridiculous. Me? Become a Dowlord? I haven't even become a ninth ring Taoist sage yet, let alone become a Dowlord. Mad Eagle laughed. I'm just saying if. It's not real, Jean Dia sighed. I can't even dream about it. Lei Xingfeng knew they were talking about Yin Shaoqing, Lei Xingyao's guard captain, and a very powerful old woman. What made the guards envious the most was that Yin Shaoqing's talent was also very average. When she became a ninth ring sage, she relied on a large number of yin rings. In the end, when she became a true monarch, she didn't rely on her own abilities. Instead, she relied on various rare medicines to force her way to true monarch. In other words, she relied on money to cultivate. Lei Xingfeng estimated that if all the materials and medicines were converted into yin rings, the same amount of yin rings would be enough for 3 people with good talent to become true monarchs. One could only imagine how much resources Yin Shaoqing had used. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love could only be envious. There was no way they could compare. Mad Eagle giggled. It's okay to dream about it. Haha, it's just that you'll feel worse if you dream about it. Lei Xingfeng said, don't think about it. Just do your job. And I'm just saying if when I become a true monarch, you guys still have a chance. Jean Dia and the others were overjoyed. Although this was a very vague sentence, it gave them a glimmer of hope. They all knew Lei Xingfeng's character. The little guy was very generous most of the time. It was just that his foundation was too weak and his strength was too weak. Even so, they still benefited a lot from following Lei Xingfeng. At the very least, they didn't have to worry about rings. This was especially true for Jean Dia. In the past, it was very difficult for him to find enough rings to extend his life. Now, he could basically use them freely. Mad Eagle smiled. Yeah, let's do our job well. If a phone is well, then we'll be well. Jean Depan came in with a large plate of deep-fried shrimp. He knew that Lei Xingfeng loved deep-fried shrimp the most, so he specially stir-fried it and brought it over. They were all live shrimp from the Wanxi continent. There were only two kinds of shrimp that were suitable for deep-fried shrimp. One was green grass shrimp, and the other was translucent white shrimp. This time, he used grass shrimp. After stir-frying, the shrimp turned fiery red and tasted wonderful. It was Lei Xingfeng's favorite. Jean Depan already knew what Lei Xingfeng liked to eat. One was bull beef. No matter how it was cooked, as long as it was bull beef, he would eat it. The other was shrimp. No matter if it was boiled or stir-fried, he liked to eat them all. As a glutton, Jean Depan was very good at flattery. Mad Eagle said, "Deep-fried shrimp, haha. Afong, it's your favorite." Lei Xingfeng said, "Of course. Birdbud, have you tried it before?" Birdbud swallowed a small piece of bull beef and said, "What's this? Shrimp? I've never tried it before." Lei Xingfeng peeled a shrimp and said, "Try it. It's delicious." Birdbud swallowed it in one bite and said, "I ate it too fast. I didn't taste anything." Another one. Lei Xingfeng said, "You can eat the whole shrimp. You don't have to peel it." Birdbud jumped to the side of the plate and pecked at a deep-fried shrimp. It swallowed in one bite and said, "The taste is passable. It's not as good as bull beef." Everyone was used to this blackbird's nonsense. Lei Xingfeng said, "Fatty, tomorrow I'll go find little sister. You can come with me." Lei Xingfeng liked Jean Depan's cooking, so he would definitely bring Jean Depan along when he went to see Lei Xingyao. Jean Depan said happily, "Okay, I need to prepare." Haha. Last time, when Lei Xingyao's master came, he benefited greatly. Not only did he receive some rings as a reward, but he also received a few good medicines. The hidden sects were also a small society. Those who did well were like fish in water, and those who didn't did well were worse than those from the outside sections. Jean Depan was one of those who did well. With his superb cooking skills, he was quite favored in the sect. His strength was also increasing by leaps and bounds with the help of the rings. He was a truly intelligent person. Jean Dia was very optimistic about Jean Depan's future. He felt that Jean Depan was stronger than him, but he was still too weak. There were many places he couldn't go to, but with his current speed of improvement, Jean Depan's future was bright. Jean Dia said, "Depan, prepare well. Also, other than cooking, don't delay your cultivation." Jean Depan knew that Jean Dia was good to him. He nodded and said, "Don't worry, I'll do my best." The next day, Lei Xingfeng brought Jean Dia, Jean Depan, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love out of the secret space and arrived at Wanxi Island. Wanxi Island was currently in the dry season. The rainy season hadn't arrived yet, but once it did, the lake water would quickly spread. Now, large swaths of land had appeared. Countless reeds covered these swampy lands. Lei Xingfeng walked towards the hidden sect where Lei Xingyao was. Jean Dia carried Jean Depan on his back and followed behind him. The bird Buddha was still lying on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder, looking listless. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love guarded him on his left and right. This was the busiest time for the fishermen in Wanxi Island. Because of the dry season, many lakes had dropped to a very low level. A large number of fish had less space to hide. The fishermen didn't even need to use large nets. They could directly catch the fish from the lake to the cabins. This was the time of harvest. Soon, Lei Xingfeng and the others arrived at a small island in the middle of the lake. There was a small town here, and this was the entrance to the secret space. However, Lei Xingfeng and the others were all men, so they couldn't enter this secret door. Soon, Lei Xingyao brought Yin Shaoqing out of the secret space and arrived at the small town. Lei Xingyao had her own small villa at the edge of the town. It was a very exquisite villa. It was built on the surface of the water. There were two small buildings in the front and back. Because of the dry season, the bottom of the lake was exposed. A curved corridor on the water connected the two-story wooden buildings. Lei Xingyao's face was full of smiles. She hugged Lei Xingfeng's arm and said excitedly, "Brother, stay here for a few days. Don't be in a hurry to leave." Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Okay, I also want to stay for a few days. The rainy season is coming soon. I want to wait for the rainy season to arrive before leaving." Coming to the villa from the corridor, Jean Depan asked for the location of the kitchen. He was led there by a waiter. The others walked into the small wooden building. Lei Xingyao ordered the waiter to bring in all kinds of fruits and snacks. It could be seen that Lei Xingyao was living a good life. Yin Shaoqing was always following them. This guard was respected by even Lei Xingfeng. He was a monarch-level expert. Every time he thought of Yin Shaoqing's strength, Lei Xingfeng felt that it was inconceivable. A monarch-level guard, just hearing about it was terrifying. Only now did Lei Xingyao notice the bird bead on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. She said in surprise, brother, there's a blackbird here? Is it brother's pet?" The blackbird stretched its head out of its wings and looked at Lei Xingyao and said, "I'm not your brother's pet. I was born and raised by myself." Lei Xingyao was stunned. She pointed at the blackbird and said, Brother, it can talk. Wow, it can talk." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.